Tom C is now here with us. I just see Tom C in the live chat.
Are we on episode 87 now?
Yes.
Are we on episode 87?
Yes, we are.
All right, well, let's fix that.
Hey, Rick, I saw in Discord that you had some updates to your project in progress. Do you want to show a demo of it today? Or?
I could. I don't remember what state it was at the last time we did a show.
It had colors.
All right, well... Okay, well, we're live, so let me go ahead and smash the intro. I've just fixed the episode number on the screen. We're going to go ahead and smash the intro, and then we're going to go ahead and start the show and let the disappointment begin in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. With your host, Mr. Can't Get Past Level 1 in any game, Stevie Stroh. Good afternoon, everybody, one and all. Welcome to CoCoTALK episode 87, the Holiday Chair Edition. This is where we talk about how holiday-ish we are, how Christmassy we feel. It's that most wonderful time of the year where we are experiencing goodwill towards men, peace on earth, all that good stuff. So we're here. We've got a great show put together for us, potentially. And on the panel, we've got a bunch of distinguished gentlemen here. I will start in the bottom right-hand corner, who just popped in here, and the host of last week's show, the internet's own Grant Leedy is with us, everybody. Hello, Grant Leedy. How are you?
Hey, Stevie. How you doing?
We're doing fine.
Just let you know, this show will not be as good as mine last week.
Well, that is
and a mic drop.
There we go. That is a given. We've also got with us international celebrity, international video game developer, our resident Australian, the Thunder from Down Under, Mr. Nicholas Morentis is with us. Hello, good day,
Nick. Everyone. Yep, how are you?
All right.
Ready for another train wreck.
Yes, and we've got with us a Q train. We will cue that train. Where's James? We need James to get back on here. Another video game developer guy, Mr. Chet Simpson's with us today. Hello, Chet.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It is going quite well. Somebody who we'll get to know in a little bit more detail in just a little bit, but we're going to say hi to him now. And you're in the UK, right? Ben Drakes?
That's correct. I'm in Wales, in fact, in the UK.
Oh, all right. And so we'll just tell you real quick. We did a little story a couple weeks ago where Ben was the guy who did virtual reality for Phantom Slayer. So we'll hear more about that today. So we're pleased to have you on the show, Ben. Also with us, that Apple guy, Mr. Mark D. Overholzer. And we must mention the middle initial because we don't want to confuse him with all the other Mark Overholzers out there. So
the other Marks, so,
there was the Alpha, the Beta, the Charlie. We're now on Mark Delta Overholzer. So next revision will be Rev E. So also continuing foreign relations and from the Great White North, Mr. L. Curtis Boyle's with us. G'day.
I don't know if it's going to be white for much longer. We're sitting at almost 40 degrees today, and the snow is melting.
What? How's it going? Hey, Curtis.
It's going good.
Where it's hardly ever white, but always great in sunny Arizona, Mr. Ron Delvaux is with us.
Hey, ¿cómo está, everybody?
Oh, yes. Me too. I don't remember where he's from, but he's here. Brian Weasler is with us. Hello, Brian.
Hello, everybody. Lifting the mug from Iowa.
From Iowa. There we go. Lifting a mug at you. And last but certainly not least, another guy who's made a video game or two. Mr. Thank You, It's Too Kind. It's Rick Adams in the house.
Yay! thank you. You're too kind.
Yes, and Grant Leedy is here, and yes, and so I will start off, and let's also say hi to who is in the live chat with us too. We've got some people who have been here since the wee early hours of the morning, but Tim Franklin was here early, sitting by, and Curtis said hi everyone, getting underway shortly. Mark Bosley has been here early. Tim Franklin, Ken Reichert was here. Chad Cunnington, Nick's neighbor in Australia, was here. Mark Bosley, Tom C. Rob Inman says, let the disappointment begin. Luis Fernandez is here. Salvador Garcia from Glenside is here. Chris Cromwell, I love color baseball. I love the applause and what happened when you got a home run. Absolutely. Davey Mitchell's here. Our friend from the UK, Mr. 10-Line programmer himself is here. Salvador Garcia, Mark Overholzer. And so I think we are caught up on the live chat. Good afternoon to you, one and all. This is episode 87, our holiday cheer episode. I would like to start off just by saying you guys collectively had probably one of the best shows I've ever heard or seen last weekend. So round of applause to the CoCoTALK panel and the CoCo community for being on that show and having that show. It was so nice to, number one, being able to take a day off when I had a family function. So just having a backup was just nice in itself, right? So thank you, Grant, for hosting and streaming. Fizz Cannon's here. Hey, Fizz Cannon, Davey Mitchell. So number one, just thanks you for streaming and hosting because the show must go on, and it did. But on top of that, the Frank Hogg interview, probably one of my more favorite interviews that I can remember. And thanks to Ron Delvaux, who has just brought us A-list celebrity after celebrity back to back for like 19 weeks in a row now. It was great.
Pocket coming up.
Yeah. So it was great to listen to. I didn't get to watch the show. I listened to the podcast, and it was perfect because there wasn't a lot of things that you needed to see. And so that episode played very well to audio, and it really just made my day to hear the stories. Because I remember Frank's name, but I don't remember all of what he did and what the products were. Mark Sieg is here too. Hey, Robert Sieg. Hey, Robert. Great interview. Great job, guys, for doing that. Could not thank you all enough. Could not have asked for a better show if we planned it. You know what I mean? It was definitely one of my favorite episodes. And then on top of that, the core dump was a great discussion too. And as we're getting towards the end of the core dump and everybody's just talking and brainstorming and just, it's like a bunch of guys talking, but these are guys who make video games. It's like that, what's the old Saturday Night Live sketch with the cowbell one with Christopher Walken? It's like, guys, I put on my pants one leg at a time, but when my pants are on, I make hit records. It's like, this is what you guys were with making video games. But in the middle of that discussion, Nick Marentes was like, hey, you do realize we've got 5 game developers in this conversation all at the same time right now. And when I heard that, it gave me chills. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Because who would have imagined, that this environment would happen? The technology and the internet allow us to get together like this. It was the coolest thing. Chris Cromwell, we got all kinds of people subscribing right now. So
because back in the day, the only time you would have had that many developers talking at the same time would have been at one of the fests.
Yeah. So that conversation that just kind of happened and just kind of kept going. The fact that all of you guys were on. So we had some developers from back in the day, some developers that came to the scene a little bit later, and then some, a mix of old and new and current, and everybody's just talking and sharing information. It was really cool. So great show. Thank you guys for doing that. Never been more proud to be part of this thing. Yes. So I've said my piece.
Yeah, and that's why I say thanks to Curtis and Ron too for helping out, because I was having some audio problems myself, so I wasn't able to talk as much as I normally would. But thanks, Curtis, for helping me out last week. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It was nice visiting with Frank too, because Bill and I were involved with him for the TC9 and helping do some software development for it, and literally that's about the last time I actually had talked to him. So
So
Yeah.
Stevie, maybe you and I are in trouble. Maybe it's Curtis who makes this show, because I'm
You
starting
know?
to notice a trend.
So
I'm not
Rob,
pretty enough to carry the show, so.
Rob says that the episode lacked horseplay. I wonder why that is. The horse's ass wasn't on it, I guess. I don't know. So,
Yeah, that Bill.
We didn't mention the word "but."
So yeah, no, it was absolutely a great episode, and we are not the only CoCo show in town, which is great for the community, because we have the CoCo crew who comes out once a month, and they kind of blaze the trail for us, and so I've never looked at this show as being competition to the CoCo crew, because it isn't, and it kind of can't be. It's a different show. It's a different format. I look at it as a complimentary show to the CoCo crew. So I never look at that show as competition, but what I do look at now as our competition is last week's show, because it's going to be really hard to have a show that good again. You know what I mean? So I think like we are now our own
2 in a row.
Yeah. Between the OS9 interview with Alan Bettinger and the Frank Hogg, back to back, it's like you just can't keep that momentum. So that's a good problem to have. Roll the credits. That's it. Yeah, I mean that's a good problem to have. You know what I mean? When your own shows are your only concern, is that we need to make sure that every show is hopefully as good as the last one. So good job, guys, and thanks everybody who watches every week and everything else. So
is this a bad time to ask for a pay increase?
Not at all. I'm going to give you a 15% bump.
Yay, we're still at 0.
And there he is. James is back. So speaking of the trains, hey James, welcome back.
So do I still sound bad?
Nope.
No. Tim Franklin says our next interview is going to be with Mark's cat.
I thought he said Mark's hat, because that's just about where the cat is.
Yeah, right.
He went to Radio Shack and bought another headset.
Yeah. The old 70s style headset, yeah.
Yeah. So, Mark Overholzer, you mentioned you might have a product or an acquisition or a story or something to share with us.
Oh yeah, just nothing really special, but I picked up. I saw an eBay auction for one of those the X10 controllers.
Is that the home automation thing, the light switch? Okay.
Yeah, it came even with a CoCo 2, 64.
Did it come with a cat's behind?
No, it didn't.
So where is it? Do we get to see it?
Yeah, it's sitting over here.
It just makes him so comfortable.
Speak again, Mark. You got to speak because of the picture.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm speaking now. Okay. Anyway, this is it. So there's no corrosion or anything. Yeah, I also got a CoCo 3, but it doesn't quite work right. So I'm working.
Okay. We have
we have
people that can help with that. Yeah. How does it feel to be a pet pedestal, Mark?
It's lovely.
Nothing is more, nothing's more empowering than knowing exactly where you fit into the universe when you have to be careful how you move so you don't upset the cat, right? So
I'm just waiting for the typical cat behavior. I'll try to swat Mark's head off of his shoulders because they try to empty take stuff. So.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Mark, are you going to get any controllers so you can
I want
control
to.
some lights?
Yeah, I do. I need to figure out the pinouts, too. It's probably straight through. It looks like it hooks to the cassette port. So I just have to make me a cable. It's got
yeah, it just goes from the serial. I think it's just regular serial.
No, it's a cassette. It goes to cassette. It's 5-pin.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, it's just the crossover.
No, is it? Okay.
Now, we have somebody who's not familiar with all of our vernaculars here. So Fizz Cannon, so the CoCo is short for color computer, which is a computer from 1980, which we still are very fond of, and there's all kinds of new hardware for it. So the CoCo SDC is a SD card reader cartridge, MPIs, multi-pack interface. Yeah, lots of vocabulary to catch up on, too, if you're new to the community, or especially if you've never... probably weren't born when a CoCo was even invented.
Indeed,
Cool.
I was not born when the CoCo was invented.
Oh,
I have
wow.
it a few years later.
Well, we're glad you did. Yeah. And L. Curtis Boyle, which is Spanish for the Curtis Boyle. Did you have something to share?
I'm just going to mention the Nitrous 9 Beta 3 ease of use is actually still on schedule for next Friday, our kind of Christmas present. We've knocked a couple other bugs out. There's a couple of games added on it.
Sierra games?
Sorry? Not
Sierra
yet.
games?
We are actually,
come on.
Some of the
That's
bug
the most
fixes we've been
important
doing in the operating system are specifically for that. So that's part of the work.
Cool.
So progress has been made in that direction, yes.
Grant, are you able to stay the whole show? You were mentioning you had a holiday party to attend to.
Yeah, actually, I'll be leaving here shortly.
All right, well, before you go, Grant, I'm going to pull up for you your intro. Would you like to hear your intro for the next time you host the show?
Sure.
All right, check it out, Grant. I've been working hard on editing videos today. Is the video going to open?
Chirp, chirp.
Hello,
Chirp.
Crickets. I double
Hi,
clicked.
this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
You notice I brought Dale back in the national anthem. This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, with your host, the internet's own Grant Leedy. What do you think of that, Grant?
I think it's awesome. Thank you very much.
The internet's own Grant Leedy.
Yeah, and I actually have a couple things I want to mention here. I'm actually going to be getting a CoCo VGA for my CoCo 2. So that's going to be, I'll be receiving that hopefully here in the next couple weeks.
Excellent.
So, and then the other thing I wanted to mention real quick before I have to leave here in about 30 minutes is the CoCo Crew Roundtable is going on this evening.
Yep. Oh, that's this evening?
Yes.
Yep, 8 Eastern.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I think I had it linked up to mention and remind everybody about, but I didn't put two and two together on what the date was. Excellent.
Yeah, so I just want to remind everybody of that.
Right. And for those not aware, the roundtable discussion is something that they record, and it will appear this month on the December episode of the CoCo Crew podcast that'll probably drop, at the end of the month. And John Linville invites people to come in and discuss things. It's kind of like the State of the Union, right? So the state of the CoCo community. What's new? What do we want? What do we need? What do we like? What do we don't like? Stuff like that. So they're always nice discussions when you get a chance to bring more people from the community into the mix.
No, I think John had mentioned on his post about it that they might be streaming it live on Facebook. Everybody wants to catch it live if they're not actually on it. I don't know if that's
okay.
But that's what I remember reading.
Okay.
Cool. You get double stamps on your card.
So
multiple podcasts in 1 month. So
I have an acquisition.
Oh, Ron Delvaux has an acquisition.
Yes, I got another new CoCo inbox. I traded for I had a PC Tandy, I forget the number. It's a 486 PC. Blake Hughes wanted it for, he wants to play Doom on it. And so we traded. I sent him the PC and he sent me the CoCo new in the box with a boomerang in it.
Oh,
so, yeah, I put my boomerang in and I set my CoCo aside. What I did was I had another CoCo that was new in box. I took it, I took the motherboard out of it, put the one that's upgraded in the new machine, with the cover, the bottom, and the keyboard all new in it, And I was waiting for the new one to come in the mail, and right after the show last week, I went out and looked, and they said it was delivered at 11:51 a.m. and it wasn't there, and it was gone. And I went across the street to see if our neighbors had it, and she said, "No, see the camera we have on our door?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "We got ripped off, so we got a new camera for our door." So I'm thinking, "Oh, great, I got it ripped off, right?" So next morning I get up, and just for kicks, it's 6:30 in the morning. I looked out the door and there was the package.
Ah.
So it came. I don't know if somebody got it delivered next door and they give it to me anyway. So now I have a machine in storage that's new, untouched.
Neat.
Thanks to Blake. And hopefully soon Blake will be playing Doom on his Tandy 486.
That'll be neat to see.
Yeah.
That'll definitely be neat to see. Very cool.
And I got to say one more thing.
Sure.
I hooked up a wire to the boomerang. You know, there's 2 wires that go to the CPU, and it gives you the full 2K
dashboard.
2 megabyte. Yeah. So, Boys in Tech, Richard was looking at it. I had a picture of it on my Ron's garage, and he goes, "Would you just use any wire you could find for that?" I go, "Yeah." I had to get a wire with it. So he's sending me another one in the mail.
Ah.
What a guy.
Yes. Very cool. Yeah, it looks like you've got quite the CoCo collection behind you in the background there, Ron.
Yes,
You've got the silver CoCo hooked up. You've got the MC10. You've got, it looks like a dragon sitting on top of something else back there in the background.
And I got a shirt that I ordered from Radio Shack, right?
Yeah.
And
Isn't that cool? It is.
They sent me another one.
Hey.
Well, I got one for my wife. Although it's 2X, she was a little bit put off by that because
she could use it as a nightgown.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I've still got the Windows sticker that you sent me where it says my other computer is a TRS-80 color computer. I haven't put it on my vehicle yet. I've got to, because it's going to require me having to wash it and clean the back of my car and stuff. So that's like a project. So whenever I can clean that back windshield, I want to do it right. I want it to be centered and, straight. And, so it's a little bit of a project to do it properly, but I will hopefully soon get that on my vehicle and I'll send you a picture of it. So,
okay, good.
Yeah. Thanks for sending that.
Sure.
Cool beans. Who else had something new and exciting this week they want to talk about and share with us? Anyone?
Not new this week, but a couple weeks ago, I got one of those MM S10s.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So haven't hooked it up yet though, but soon.
How much was it?
Oh boy.
39.
Yeah, I want to say it might have been it's like 40. I think is what. Yep.
$40.
I think so.
And when you shake it, it doesn't make noise.
Doesn't make any noise.
Good.
So
that's good.
So we'll find out here.
Ron Delvaux, Robert Sieg is asking, do you have the MCX 128 expander on there, or is that the original MC10 expander? Is that the factory memory board for your MC10, Ron?
Oh, back there?
Yeah.
That's it has the
Tandy logo on it. Yeah. Do you have one of the newer ones, the MCX 128 that brings it up to 128K?
No, I do not.
Okay. So that's the factory stock
16K upgrade.
Yeah. This is my first computer I ever got.
Yeah, that's neat.
Like my first CoCo was the one that looks just like this one.
The silver one?
Yeah.
Steve York's going to be so disappointed.
I have all these tapes that I've accumulated when I first got it, night after night, programming from the booklet you get with it, right? You would do all the programs in the book and stuff, and you save them off on the cassettes, and then you find stuff in the Rainbow, and then if you go to your computer club, you find software there, but it's all cassette.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is if you plug a audio cable from your smartphone into your, plug the headphone jack from your cassette cable into your smartphone and go to Jim Gary's website, you can just download the cassette files straight from the internet and load them into your CoCo.
We didn't have that in a day, did we?
Yeah.
Boy.
But that's kind of how he set it up, where you can go to Jim Gary's site and he's got the WAV files that have the cassette files. So you can just click on the file and play the file on your phone, and then hit C load on your computer and load his. And it shouldn't take that long, So
especially in the MC10 because they're smaller games, or smaller programs, I should say.
So it's kind of a cool feature. It's kind of a hybrid retro experience where you still have to wait the same amount of time as loading the tape, but it's just digital. So cool.
You could do Captain Crunch thing and try Whistle of programming.
I wonder if anyone's done DriveWire to the MC10.
I think there was a project for that, wasn't there? It's called different. I don't think it's the exact same thing.
The MCX Basic has support for that. It's I can't remember the MCX server, and they added it to PyDriveWire.
Yeah, it's EMCE. MC is how it's pronounced phonetically, which, you know, they took more letters to spell out what you could have done with two, right? So instead of just calling it the MC server, it's the EMCEE server, so which is their version of DriveWire. Oh, hey, I want to say hi to somebody in the live chat right now who has been catching up on some of my videos and leaving comments too. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your first name right. Kanai Andrews. He asked a question, was there ever a Mr. Heli shoot 'em up port game for the CoCo? I don't know what Mr. Heli is.
Yeah, that's my question. I don't know what. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, but
Shoplifter, maybe?
Kanai or Kanai, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I want to say thank you because you've been commenting a lot on my other CoCo games, so he's kind of binging some of my cringy old videos that mostly I regret making. Cool stuff. So I don't know the answer to that question, but perhaps Ken Reichert says the EIEIO server. and then he says to answer the question of is there ever a heli man, he goes, heli no. So yeah, maybe not. Ken Reichert.
I would say no on the Mr. Heli port there because it looks like a pretty advanced game from the screenshot on the page.
Maybe Chet Simpson could do it for the CoCo 3. So.
Yeah, he might be able to. I sure say.
Maybe.
Now Robert says, Steve, were you a radio broadcaster, and can you do a Wolfman Jack impersonation? Probably no to both. How does Wolfman Jack even? He had that real scratchy voice, like, "Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me. It's the Wolfman Jack," and or whatever, something like that. No, not really. I would hurt myself and the listeners at the same time. So.
Smokes more cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so how about we do this? How about we take a brief break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to hear from Ben Drakes, Mr. VR himself. We're going to find out what inspired someone to take a game like Phantom Slayer and turn it into a virtual reality thing, and how do you do it, and how can we do it, and all that stuff and more. So I've even updated our little sponsors page. I was actually trying to catch up on a lot of things that I had, which means I have to give a few more things to you, Grant, when you do your next live stream. So one of the things I kept forgetting to update was the link for Brian Joyce's website, which I have now done now. So let's take a quick moment to recognize some of the sponsors of our color computer community, like the CoCo VGA project at CoCoVGA.com. Was that you, Grant, that said you just got one for your CoCo too?
Yeah, I just ordered one here, and it's being shipped to Richard, and Richard is going to be putting it in and then shipping the CoCo 2 back to me. So.
Right. So it is not.
Hopefully we'll have I'll do a review on it here after I receive it, and we'll test it out and see how it works.
Okay. Yeah, because that question came up too. Do you need to get a CoCo VGA? Do you need to get a composite mod to use a CoCo 1 or 2? And the answer is no. It's not required to get one of these. These are some modern add-ons. That you can do to get more functionality if you want it. It's not necessary, though. Let's not forget Richard Lorbieski at Boyson Technologies, BOYSON Tech.com, maker of the Boomerang E2 boards and the Paradigm joystick adapter, and so much more. And not with us now, but hopefully trolling later, Mr. Jim Brain of Retro Innovations at Retro.com, maker of fine quality accessories and add-ons for your color computers and your Texas Instruments and your Commodore systems. We would be remiss if not mentioning Cloud9 Technologies, maker of color computer products and accessories for well over 20 years. So Cloud9Tech.com, check them out. Check out a cool project called the SDPack.com, where you can take an SD card and make it boot up like a ROM cartridge. You can now from CoComan.biz. I need to get a new picture from you, Ken. But not only can you get the switcheroo, but you can also get the Wallaby cable from CoComan.biz. So check them out. We are streaming live on Roku on the CoCo TV channel. Thank you to Roger Taylor. So check us out there. If you want to get a cool t-shirt like what Mark Overholzer's wearing, like what I'm wearing, and like what all, and we got some cool mugs that Curtis Boyle's holding up his mug, and Brian Weasler had his mug. So if you want to get t-shirts, coffee mugs, mouse pads, adult diapers, and prophylactics that say CoCo on them, you can get them from the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. If you love the color computer and you want to learn more, see more, and do more, go to imacoconut.com for links to all kinds of cool stuff. We here at the CoCoTalk show can be reached at the website of cocotalk.live, where you can also send us an email with feedback, suggestions, etc. Let's not forget the CoCo Crew, the show that started it all at cococrew.org. And I've now updated the link for Brian Joyce's blog site, so you can now go to extructus.com, EXTRUCTUS, Extructus Productions. Brian Joyce, maker of our best of episodes and all kinds of other cool stuff. Check out his blogs. He's got a lot of good stuff on there. Last but certainly not least, the guy who makes the hardware that we say, shut up and take my money, Ed Snyder of the Zipster Zone, the ZIPPSTER zone.com. Check it out and get something cool there today. We'll be back in just a minute after these words, folks.
Hi, this is Sean Wheatley, and you're listening to CoCoTALK with the original gamer, Stevie Stroh.
Switcheroo. Use your CoCo with a modern display. Go from RGB to composite with just the flip of a switch. CoCo3ScartCable.com.
What's going on, everybody? The original gamer Stevie Stroh here, and I want to talk to you about I'mACoconut.com. If you love the color computer like I love the color computer, then you got to visit I'mACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all of your Tandy color computer links needs. There you'll find links to blogs and podcasts and project sites and emulators and downloads and groups and communities. If you love the color computer, head on over to I'mACoconut.com. That's IMACoconut.com. Tell them the original gamer Stevie Stroh sent you. CoCo forever, people.
G'day, mates. This is Nick Marionettes, author of such color computer titles as Donut Disaster, Rupert Rhymes, and Rockstar Pilot. And I am here today to tell you about the world's most fabulous operating system, OS 9. OS 9 and its current incarnation, Nitrous 9, is the most advanced operating system ever created. And what makes it so good? Ease of use. I find OS 9 so incredibly intuitive that I haven't once cracked open the user manual, and yet I've been able to create such incredible games faster than the time it takes to sing Waltzing Matilda. Using OS 9, I expect my next game, Funstar, will be done this weekend and distributed exclusively on ROM cartridge. OS 9 forever.
Any resemblance to actual events to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
Some people have big plans after school. You know what Elliot's going to do? Jeff, too. Elliot's at work on a book report using Scripsit on Radio Shack's Color Computer 3. It hooks up to his TV. And Jeff's at his Radio Shack Color Computer 3 playing the newest football game. But wait, what's Elliot doing playing New Super Pitfall? And Jeff's having a blast with a new math tutor. You never know what you might try with more than 100 programs for fun and learning. Radio Shack's Color Computer 3 comes with everything you see here. Other items each sold separately. Only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
And we're back. And how many of us had a blast with the new math tutor? Am I the only one?
I was too busy playing math bingo. I never got
having
into
a
math
blast, having a blast with the new math tutor.
Sorry.
Wouldn't be where I was without it.
Yes.
So, Stevie, I was going to ask you a question. So, how are the sales of the adult diapers going?
Oh, most of the ones that were going to first initial G, last name Leedy in Kansas, those things sold, I don't know how many.
That was the pre-filled ones, too,
yeah,
right?
pallets.
Okay.
Pallets and pallets of those were shipped to Kansas. So.
And what about the condoms?
The prophylactics, DW Lad Incorporated was an organization that purchased several pallets of those as well. So That's
we're
great.
in trouble.
Yeah.
That's where our raises are coming from.
And you wonder why the show was better without you.
Yes. Paul T. Barton has just joined us. Having a blast with the new math tutor. You never know what kind of funny games you'll have. Check out check out color script shit.
Paul T. Burton has the same type of headset as Ron. You just glance at him, it's like, which one's which?
Yeah, right. Paul T. Barton appears to be coming to us via VHS cassette today, so I need to adjust the tracking on that player. We got a little visual flickering there, but it looks good. It's very retro. It's good stuff.
That'll be part of our artifacting discussion later.
Yes, exactly. There he is. There's Paul. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. Anything new? Well, I actually have queued up in the news your IDE thingamajiggy that you posted.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait till we get to that where you can talk about it, or when I bring up the picture of it?
Well, whatever.
Does that work?
Yeah.
You gonna be able to hang around for a while? You got time? You got plans today?
Yeah, I'm here now.
All right. Well, then how about we get to our special guest of the day? We've got a gentleman here in the UK, and now what's the link to your YouTube channel? I'd like to pull up your video again, and but I can't. I couldn't play it because you had copyright music in the background, and YouTube always kind of doesn't like that. What's your YouTube channel again?
So that YouTube channel is Explore VR. If you type that into YouTube, you should find it.
So let me see if I can find that real quick. So if you guys go to YouTube and you type in EXPLORE VR, Explore VR for virtual reality, I'm going to hit subscribe on that right now. Let me switch over real quick just so people can see what it would look like right now. So this is the page, explorevr.com, and one of your videos that was here was the Phantom Slayer, right? So Phantom Slayer is probably one of the earliest games that we would now refer to as like a first-person shooter, kind of a three-dimensional game where bad guys are out to get you, right? So might not have been the first, but because it came out in the early 80s, it's definitely one of the earliest games that would later be part of this genre that we call the FPS, the first-person shooters. And then what did you do with it? And by the way, before we even get to that part, how about you give us a little brief history. Hi, my name is, and I was, back in the day, my first computer was, and take us from then till now.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you everyone for having me on the panel. I must say, I was expecting you to look older. You all look so young. I can't believe you.
You're hired. Checks in the mail. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. You're too kind.
So my name's Ben Drakes. I work for a company called Virtuix that makes this virtual reality treadmill that I have behind me. And I should say that currently it's not available for consumers to purchase, because I know that was one of the questions you wanted to find out how you could play these games in virtual reality. But you would need to get hold of one through eBay until they go on sale to consumers again. But let's see. You wanted to know what my first game ever was?
No, well, yeah. What was your earliest computer memories or favorite system growing up? Like your first love when it came to computers or video games?
Right. Well, I wasn't much of a PC gamer growing up, but we did have one in my primary school. So when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I do remember playing a game, and I made a note of it because I thought you might ask me that. And it was for the Acorn Archimedes, and it was called Zarch. That was released in 1987.
Okay.
And I loved that game because it was graphically very impressive for the time. You could fly around in a limitless polygon world, your little spacecraft, a bit like Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, neat.
So, that's one of my earliest memories of playing video games. And I guess I fell in love with them, and for that reason, I've got involved with video games as part of my career.
Neat. And what is that you're doing now? That's
Right. Well, this company I've been with since 2013. They were a kickstarted company, so it was crowdfunded. The idea was to make a treadmill that would let you be able to walk inside your favorite video game. So the first time I saw this, the inventor Jan Goodgeluk, he was playing Skyrim. He was walking around on this treadmill and he was moving around in the game while he was wearing a VR headset. So yes, I got involved actually before the Kickstarter campaign, helping out on the forum and the Facebook page, answering people's questions. And when they did bring, because the company's based in Austin, when they did bring the Omni to the UK for the first time, they invited me to help demonstrate it. So I went up to London and I tried it for the first time, and I was very nervous because my expectations were extremely high, but it lived up to my expectations and I loved it. And since then I was traveling back and forth to the States, going to big trade shows like E3 and CES and GDC. And for a while, like I said, we were taking pre-orders for the Omni for consumers internationally, in fact. But when the VR industry did not take off, like many analysts thought that it would, we did unfortunately have to suspend taking pre-orders. And in fact, we refunded people internationally. US pre-orders we are still honoring, so they are still being kind of shipped out, which is why it would be possible for you to get hold of one by eBay if someone wanted to sell it, which I don't know why anybody would. But so during that phase, one of the things that I did was find ways for people to play old games using the Omni, because at that time, well, VR is still very new, but there just weren't many games for people to play in VR. So this was an alternative, is to make old games work in virtual reality. So I used to make guides. So I found ways to play CSGO, for instance, in VR. And one of my favorite games that I got working was Jedi Outcast.
Oh, wow.
And that's still one of my favorite VR experiences was playing that game with the Omni.
Neat.
Yeah.
And this is its own product, so it's not like an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive or anything else. It's completely separate VR technology, or does it use other existing pieces that consumers might be more familiar with?
So it can work with any VR headset, but we now are getting involved with esports and family entertainment centers. So we actually have an attraction called VR Arena. It's you go inside, there are 4 Omnis, and you can play competitive esports with each other or casual games. But we have cameras built into the attraction, so this can actually be streamed live. You're competing in these monthly tournaments, which the company sponsors. So you have an opportunity to, if you're really good at the game, win some money playing.
Wow.
So like I said, I was making these guides for consumers to play, but I stopped doing that when we switched to a commercial focus. But just recently, and in fact, I took down a lot of the videos, including the one of me playing Jedi Outcast, because I didn't want people to be confused. You know, they see videos of me playing normal consumer games, thinking that that's what they can do with the Omni. But I'm thinking of putting some of those old videos back up. And I just got such a buzz getting Jedi Outcast to work, because one, it's an amazing game. You hear the Star Wars theme music and you immediately feel like a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So I missed that, and I wanted to get back into it. One of the challenges that I set myself was to find the oldest game that I could get to work with the Omni. So I started researching on Wikipedia the history of video games, the history of first-person shooters, and that's how I came by the entry for Phantom Slayer, which, as you said, is down in the books as, you know, arguably the first first-person shooter. And that led me to a link to Curtis's awesome interview with its developer, Ken Kalish. So I got a copy of that on eBay, and I used an emulator, XRAW, to play the game. And I used XPadder to map the shooting to this controller here, which is a Grifter gamepad. And I enjoyed it so much, I thought, right, I'm going to make a video of this. And So I thought it'd be cool if I showed some of Ken's other games because he was quite a prolific developer back
Absolutely.
in. Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Let me ask you a quick dumb question, because VR typically has two lenses to simulate the three-dimensional in the depth. So are you doing anything like that, or is it still basically we're looking at the 2D screen but we're manipulating it more?
It's a 2D screen, and in fact, if most other VR enthusiasts looked at what I was doing, they'd probably be horrified because there is no head tracking, not even 3DOF, 3 degrees of freedom.
Okay.
So what I have to do to prevent getting nauseous is to keep my head very still and then turn my body, rotate, say, 90 degrees when I swipe my foot, because that triggers the turning in the game. And as long as I do that, I can actually play for quite a long time. So one of the things that I have to do when I adapt an old game to work in VR is to remove forced camera animations. So head bob, for instance, is the most common one.
Right.
Developers put this illusion of your head moving up and down as you walk to make it seem more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But that is one of the key triggers of nausea when playing old games like this. Now, fortunately, Phantom Slayer doesn't have that. In fact, it kind of just jumps forward a step at a time. So it's actually quite playable, I find.
Excellent, excellent. So how are you going to show us this? Are you able to screen share? Are you going to screen share what you're doing? Or you said you were going to show us some of the other
the Ken Kalish games. Like
Ken Kalish games, yeah.
Pre-recorded these?
Or
are you going to do live?
Oh, no. So, no, I said that I was collecting his games so I could show them in the video at the beginning.
Oh, I see. Cool. Gotcha. So
it's sort of a tribute to Ken. I was hoping he would see it and get a kick out of it. That's the thinking. In fact, that's why I have that music track in the background, even though it caused some problems with copyright protection. They probably put ads on it or something, because that was released in 1982. That song. So I thought Ken might remember listening to it while he was maybe even working on the game. And the funny thing was, when I finished the video, I still felt this compulsion to collect the rest of his games. Like I had most of them, I was just missing a few. So I started going on eBay and looking for them. So I have a little collection of them here so far. I've got Cuthbert in the Jungle, Phantom Slayer, of course, Escape, Danger Ranger, Devil Assault, Invader's Revenge. So I'm only missing a few: Athletics, King Cuthbert, and El Diablero, if I'm pronouncing that right. And it's been a month now, and I haven't seen them, so maybe they're quite rare. But you can't just use search for the names of the titles, because often on eBay they come in a job lot, and there's no description of the games, as I'm sure you're all very aware. So you have to look at these job lots, look through all the games, and see if the game you want is, or that you're looking for, is there. And as I was doing
this, a couple of his games got renamed between the Dragon and the CoCo versions too, like the Cuthbert titles were originally like Monkey Kong in the States and stuff. So
that's correct. So in the UK it was King Cuthbert for Monkey Kong.
Ah, okay, King Cuthbert. There, I got you. Yeah, because I guess Cuthbert became a popular name, right? He became I guess like a video game mascot or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think King Cuthbert's the best of those names. It's very funny.
Yeah. So I've most of us are familiar with the U.S. color computer, and so Ken's games that were released in the U.S. And the color computer and the Dragon are essentially almost the same computer, because they're based on the same Motorola design and that Motorola had published. There's just some slight differences in the Dragon. I think it has mostly to do with how the keyboard is scanned, and the hardware guys could tell better than that. But most of the games are very interchangeable, because all the other hardware is the same. And yeah, it's neat. So, matter of fact, is it Dungeon Raid that originally only appeared in the UK, Curtis? Is that the one where...
Yeah. Ken got kind of disappointed with some of the dealings he'd had in the States on the tail end of his career when he was working for Screen Division, or whatever that was called after Med Systems renamed. So his final ones he did through Microdeal in the UK.
Yeah. So and there's a Dragon group on Facebook you might want to check out. So Microdeal was a company that did a lot of games for the Dragon on cassette, and I think the cassette tapes were more popular in the UK than the floppy disk versions were, because I guess the cost of the drives were more over there. So there's a large cassette library of Dragon stuff. If you're looking to connect to collect the originals, but you can download these for emulators too, right? So there's a website called The World of Dragon, which has an archive of all the software you could get digitally to play on your emulator. And we also have the Color Computer Archive that would have a lot of Ken stuff too, if you just want to be able to see it and experience it. How do you interface the treadmill and everything to your computers? Is that the part you came up with yourself that translates that device to a vintage machine? And does it only work on emulators? I would imagine, like, this is not going to output to like a joystick connection to plug into an old actual physical retro computer, right?
No, I'm using XRAW to emulate the game, and the Omni can output WASD. So when I walk forwards, it'll be a W.
Okay.
And that in itself won't drive the game because it uses different keybinds.
Mhm.
So I use XPadder to map the Omni's output to whatever the buttons are in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a neat kind of modern enhancement to an old system, but it seems like it would only work through emulation, not on the real machine. Is that correct to say, or?
That's right. And in fact, I have a Dragon 32, but I haven't powered it up yet. I don't know what would happen if I tried. I'm looking forward to doing it at some point, though.
Neat.
Now, you'd mentioned that the actual hardware there that you've got sitting behind you there is no longer on sale for consumers. Is that something that will be changing in the future? Like, are you guys planning on getting back to doing that?
I really do hope so. I mean, VR just hasn't grown as quickly as the analysts predicted that it would. So that kind of forced that decision, really. So that's why we're approaching the commercial market, FECs, out-of-home entertainment. Maybe, as we saw with the golden era of arcade games, it transitioned into the home. It's actually one of the reasons that arcades started to fail, is because people were now playing games at home on consoles and early PCs. So perhaps the same thing will happen again.
Yeah, I actually saw recently an article that there is a VR program that simulates like an 80s and 90s game room, where you look around on a table and you see like a PS1 connected to a TV, and you see these virtual old game consoles. So rather than just emulating the game, it's actually emulating the console too. And so in VR, you're looking at an old game system on an old tube television playing it and stuff, so it's kind of cool, And I know that there are actual virtual arcades you can walk through too, where you see the full cabinets and you're walking through the game rooms, and then you walk up and then you're playing an emulated video game. So that is kind of a neat fusion of kind of simulating the experience of the old, systems and consoles and cabinets and stuff.
Yes, it's when you combine an old game with new hardware, you feel like you're breathing life back into it,
right,
in the same way that any retro gamer does when they talk about these games with their friends, like we're doing. You're not just remembering it; you bring it back into the contemporary discussion. But when you use hardware like this and you make a game that was already fun, maybe even more fun or more immersive, it kind of feels like you're giving it more power than it had before, and it's a really magical feeling. That's why I enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. And there's something very elegant about the older games, because they had to deal so much less. They had all these limitations. The graphics weren't as fine and the processing wasn't as fast. So they were put in kind of a small box, but they created these big experiences by overcoming all those limitations. And that's something that's kind of lost now, because we have so much technology can be thrown at a movie or a game now that the creativity is harder to appreciate. Where back then, Ken was the master of this, because he created, like, just so I'm not sure how familiar you are with how this computer works. Like, the Color Computer and Dragon, they did not have a sound chip. There was no synthesizer or any special hardware to generate sound on there. So, and Ken's games had such signature sounds, and he had to develop all that sound and make the computer make these musics and these noises and stuff. And his games, to me, are so signature, that Ken Kalish sound. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name properly, but it's really a tribute to the artistry and the kind of technical prowess of these programmers because they were a musician and a programmer and a technician and an artist and a sound designer and, you know, hardware and software engineers all rolled into one. And they left us this legacy of these just really enjoyable games and experiences that, you know, like you say, it is kind of magic when you can breathe a little bit more life into it, you know?
Yes, I agree. And that's something that I first appreciated when I read Curtis's interview with Ken, because I didn't perhaps fully appreciate the limitations of the hardware. And it really is an art form to be able to create a game as good as that under those sorts of limitations. And I mentioned it at the end of the video as well, that the whole game was 16 kilobytes, and yet it had all these features, and it was less than a third the size of Doom's README text file. even though the game itself comes with the instructions on how to play the game, so it has its own README file within the game.
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
Yeah.
And Curtis told a story too of how he got the crap scared out of him playing that game, or they scared the crap out of some new young whippersnapper who didn't think that, you know, I forgot the stories, Curtis, because of, you know.
Yeah,
but,
it was a friend of ours was a modern quote unquote video game player at work, and he said there's no way some little 8-bit low res game could ever be scary like Doom or Quake or something like that. We brought Phantom Slayer in on a weekend and had him try it, and he kind of jumped in his chair when he died for the first time, because that sound that Ken picked when you die, that sudden
yeah, right,
just shocked him. So, and it did that to me back in the day too when I first bought it on cassette.
Cool stuff. So what roles do you play with this company that you're with right now in the VR stuff? Are you a hardware designer, software, an integrator, or?
Well, I've been there since 2013 when it was a startup company. So I've done lots of different things. I've helped a bit with the hardware design. For instance, the harness now doesn't have any leg straps. You used to have to buckle yourself in. But I had the idea to put a high friction lining on the inside of the harness.
Oh, neat.
So you didn't have to keep buckling up each time. Also, the motion algorithm, even though I'm not a programmer, I came up with a way to improve that motion algorithm, make it more realistic. And let's see. So there's those two things. But now I mostly do site inspections. I travel across Europe, helping set up the Omni in different arcades and training the staff there on how to use it.
Yeah. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I am.
If you're not already there, you should probably join the Dragon group. I'm sure the guys there who if they haven't seen this video, they'd love to see it, and you can probably get a lot of. I'm sure there are people there with collections too that might have extra copies of this software, because a lot of them are posting pictures of their cassette collections and stuff. So that might be a good resource for you to, you know.
Thanks for the tip. I'll check that out.
Tap into some mates who might help you out, especially if you're a fan of this system. You know, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you with that. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, very neat. And when I was thinking when you were talking about this, because you know the thing about playing a video game is that you can run for miles and you never get out of breath. So now this one is powered by human foot power in a sense. So you're playing something like Call of Duty and you have to run away from somebody shooting you and you have to pause to catch your breath. I can imagine you getting shot in the rear end at that point or something. So does that make the games more physically challenging by having to be in the treadmill?
Well, I'd compare it more to a sport rather than just running, like long distance running. So what I tend to do is maybe jog for a bit and then walk if I'm playing a game like Skyrim. But the esports games, we've made our own called Omni Arena. That is a very short, intense, like 4 or 5 minutes sprinting to get to the hard point, take each other out in a battle, maybe respawn. So, but like I said, it's more of a sport. So you have the adrenaline going. It's so much fun that you don't feel like you're having to put in a lot of effort. So it actually gives you energy rather than making you feel tired.
Right. But yeah, if I had to actually walk as many miles in Minecraft as I've walked in the computer, I would either be in the best physical shape or just completely exhausted. One of the two. I'd either pass out or I'd be like actually healthy or something. So yeah.
Off commando.
Well, I played Minecraft with the Omni. In fact, it's another really good experience to have, and walking doesn't take that much physical.
Yeah. I saw that. I was looking at some of the videos you have on your page. Which let me go ahead and copy and paste the link to your site in the live chat. So for those of us who are watching us live right now, I'm just going to paste your channel in there. But yeah, you've got Phantom Slayer, you've got Nevermind, Minecraft, Hack and Slash, Stonehenge, a bunch of stuff in here.
If you want to play the Phantom Slayer video, or at least a clip of it, you can just mute the sound too. We shouldn't get it.
Yeah, let me switch over to that. We'll do that, and I'll just have to mute the sound.
This will be the author commentary version.
Yeah, you can annotate this for us if you want.
The director's cut.
Right. Okay, so I'm using a Sony cassette player there, and putting the cassette in. Even though I'm using an emulator, right? It's just for effect.
Oh, look at you! As you turn, the game turns. Yeah.
Right. So there are these tracking pods on my shoes, or overshoes. In fact, that's one of the things I helped design. Actually, is the overshoes. Makes it a bit quicker again to get in and out. So when I move my feet, it will either move me forwards or backwards, depending on where I am in the ring. There's a ring that goes around my waist, and I never actually touch it because the harness is keeping me more or less in the middle. But it knows if I'm leaning forward, so if I move my feet, I'll move forward in the game. If I'm leaning back, you'll see me at times encountering the Phantom, and quite often backpedaling so that he doesn't get me, because he has to touch you to kill you.
Okay.
In the game. And turning, I move my foot out to the side at 90 degrees. That will trigger the turning.
Okay. Yeah, it looks neat. I'm watching you turn, and then we will see the game turn at the same time. So it's interesting to see how the two are linked to each other.
Yeah. So you talked about the sound design, and that's part of what makes this game so scary. I liken it to Jaws.
Yeah.
You don't even see the shark, but you can hear the da-da.
Yeah.
Sound gradually increasing, and you're terrified by what's around the corner. And quite often he will just appear in front of you because he kind of jumps out of the corridor rather than gradually emerging. So there's no warning. It can be right in your face, and that's part of the scary element of this game.
Now the game itself has the proximity detector where you can set how many squares away you can hear the Phantom, so you can kind of figure out roughly where he is, type thing. Is that implemented in your VR version as well?
Yes, I did map that to some of the buttons on my controller, but I'm still not very good at this game. It doesn't seem to.
Oh, you got two of them here now, so yeah. Yeah, I wish we could play the sounds. But what was the soundtrack that you had going on in here? I forgot what it was, but as soon as I heard it, I knew it.
I can't remember the name of that track either. But is it not in the description of the video? I might have put it up.
I'll look it up in a second here. I'll just unmute the auto for a second here. Eddie Money, I Think I'm in Love. Okay. So
it's a good song.
I can name that song in one bar. So yeah, neat.
Actually talking about CoCo add-on hardware and Dragon add-on hardware, we have some like mouse interfaces that use a joystick port, and some of these keyboard ones that come up. It'd be interesting to make one that's designed for an external keyboard, but also have I/O inputs for interfacing to something like this. So you could play it on real hardware.
Yeah, I believe it is definitely possible that, if you could output this to work on, work with an emulator, you might be able to pump it into real hardware too. But this like some type of I/O catcher.
Or just don't quite have it. I mean, we have keyboard, like PS2 keyboard, PS2 mouse, but it requires just another little bit of hardware to make it work.
And Davey Mitchell was asking, is the Phantom, is that David Ladd in a robe? David Ladd is the Phantom. Now that is a really neat project, and yeah, definitely would look forward to seeing what else you come up with next. You know what I mean? It's really cool, and especially if you're going to be adapting it to some retro stuff, we'd love to see it. And just shoot him a note over to Curtis, or feel free to come on our show or post a message in the Dragon group or something. Let us know. Stay in touch with us, and when you got something new to share, we'd love to see it.
Well, thank you.
It'd be really cool.
I do have a bunch of games that I want to try. Like I said, I want to find the oldest game that I can get to work with the oldest.
Yeah.
I know one that's been mentioned a lot is Dungeons of Daggerath, but that's got enough complicated keyboard commands. I don't know how well the rest of the game would translate. Like the walking and attacking, I think you could do fairly simply. But like, does that VR thing have an ability to register that you're doing something with each arm? Like, can it differentiate? Like, say if you're swiping with a sword or something?
You mean if I were to use two different controllers? Because these wouldn't be motion.
Yeah, because Daggerath, you have the option of attacking with whatever's in your left hand or attacking with whatever's in your right hand, for example. So you need to differentiate the two.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to have a couple of controllers and map the buttons accordingly, but I guess that could be done.
Yeah, Dungeons of Daggerath visually would be a perfect fit to some type of VR thing, because it is a 3D dungeon crawler, and it's all kind of wireframed, kind of vector art. So the visual style would lend itself very well to virtual reality, but it was also, you had to type in your commands. Like you had to type in M for move and TR for turn right and AL for attack left. So it was kind of a hybrid text adventure, real-time, first-person shooter, dungeon crawler all rolled into one. So while visually I think it would be great, I think controller-wise to make it a button mash experience would take some. But again, what's this X? It's this X logger thing you were talking about. Is this some?
Yeah, Xpadder is what I use. That allows me to map one key press to a different key press input.
And is that a piece of hardware? Or is that software? Or is it kind of both?
It's software.
Okay.
Yes, but
can it do multiple key presses? Like in the case of Daggerath, if you wanted to attack left, it's A space L return. Can you map that 4-key sequence to do just one button click?
Yes, I can. I can do that. So the Omni's output, for instance, W, I could translate that into any sequence of keys.
So it's almost like a macro converter thing, where so A space L could, where if you press if you press D-pad left, that would be like a macro that would then send A space L to the game, which is attack left. D-pad right could be attack right or something like that. So. So it could be done, and that would be interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, it has a lot of the same elements as Phantom Slayer did. When it's 3D, it's real time. It has your heartbeat, which kind of gets your excitement kind of going, like hearing the proximity detector. But also, the monsters each have unique sounds, and they get louder the closer they get to you, no matter what direction they're from. So it's kind of takes the Phantom Slayer up even to the next level, type thing. So yeah, if you could map all the keys, now there's like stuff like inventory and incants and rings and all kinds of special stuff. I'm not sure how you do that, but the basic gameplay would be, I think, a pretty interesting experiment to try.
Yes, well, I researched CoCo games and games on other platforms from that period, because I wanted to see for myself if indeed Phantom Slayer was the first-person shooter, and I came across some other games that I wanted to try. For instance, Labyrinth came out in 1980 for the CoCo. I thought that would be a good fit. It's another 3D maze style game.
Yeah, it's written in BASIC. It was by I can't remember who it was by now. It's a black and white P mode 01.
There was also Death Maze 5000 also came out in 1980.
There's also the Radio Shack cartridge Skiing, which might work with the with that device.
Skiing. Oh yeah, the skiing cartridge.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because when you click the buttons, it's the equivalent of a ski pole thrusting yourself on the ground type thing. So maybe you could do something with that, like lifting your foot up or something, or I'm not sure how you do it, but
it was a fairly fast 3D as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
And there was Voyager 1, Sabotage of the Robot Ship. That came out in 1981. Do you guys remember that?
That's from Avalon Hill or somebody? I'm trying to remember. Or is that Adventure International, maybe? I remember hearing about it. I don't recall what it looks like because I haven't seen it in a while. But
again, I think it's a black and white wireframe game set on a space station. There's some robots that you have to shoot.
Neat.
Yeah, okay, I do remember that.
And there's Syzygy, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Syzygy. That's where you get to encounter Darth Vader and have some lightsaber battles. It's a little bit like Jedi Outcast, but a decade earlier.
Yeah, Spectral Associates. I remember that one clearly.
Wow.
So I'll definitely let you guys know when I have any new videos.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
These exploits.
And does anybody else have any questions? Anybody in the panel, anybody in the audience have any questions for Ben about his what he's been doing? Fembot's Revenge.
Or possible CoCo game suggestions that might work well with this.
There's Fembot's Revenge, and then there's Simian Moon, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an adventure trilogy earlier than both of those that was based on the same engine too. So there's about 5 games in that sequence. And that was from the guys who made VIP Library, Softlaw. Originally they were called Nelson Computer Systems.
Very cool. Well, you're welcome to hang out with us. We got more to talk about, Ben, and you're welcome to hang out for as long as you're able to. But I certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us today and share with us a little bit about that project.
I do have one more question I just thought of.
Sure.
You're installing these now commercially in arcades and stuff you've mentioned. How widely distributed are those? How many of these systems are there out there, and where could people in various countries possibly see these in action?
Right. So the Omni itself, just a standalone, being sent to people's arcades. We've been doing that for a while now. We have distribution, over most of the world. But this latest attraction, the esports attraction, VR Arena, we only debuted that for the first time last month at IAPO. I was there for a week helping out with that. That primarily is going to be installed in cities throughout North America. That's where we're focusing to begin with. So you can't find one yet, but starting from around March this year. And if you'd like to follow our progress, the company's called Virtuix. You can go onto virtuix.com and subscribe to our newsletter and get all the news on that.
Cool. It's a system I'd really like to see and maybe try in person too. Are you gonna have Phantom Slayer installed on these ones? Or
I would love to, but I don't think so.
And you know what this made me think of too? So, are you familiar with the book and the movie that recently came out called Ready Player One?
Yes, I am familiar with it. In fact, I have a story about that. So the Omni is in that film, although you won't recognize it. There is a scene where there are lots of VR treadmills.
Okay.
That, IOI are using to try to get the egg. Okay. And we actually sent them an Omni to use in the film, but they just used the base.
Okay, they didn't use the harness or anything.
No. But one of the actresses who plays Artemis, she used the Omni in one of the scenes, but you only see her from like the waist up, but she's kind of walking towards the end of the film.
Okay.
So that I believe is when she's walking on the Omni base. And the funny story there is that we sent them a pair of shoes that they could use with the Omni, but they weren't in her size. And they were going to shoot the next day or the day after that. And there wasn't time for us to send them the right size shoes from Austin. And I was in Austin at the time as well. But then I remembered that my mother has a pair of shoes to go with the Omni. And she's a smaller lady. She wears a size 5. So I got my mother to get a courier on a motorbike to come and pick the shoes up, her shoes, from the market where she was working and drive it all day to where they were shooting the movie. And so I never got those shoes back, unfortunately. But if I ever bump into Spielberg, I'll ask him.
Well, he's Ron Delvau's got him lined up for next week, so that's really interesting how that tied in, because a lot of us Coco Nuts, we were excited for the movie to see if they were going to feature Dungeons of Daggerath, which had a important role in the story, and the Color Computer did. But one of the things that I think, we're all wondering, why didn't they show more retro systems in this movie? But the movie's a modern movie, and modern moviegoers are used to seeing special effects that are so much larger than life now that it would almost degrade the film to show you an old 2D style game on a big screen where we're used to visual effects that are so much more realistic. So I kind of understand why they didn't try to do any retro video games. Like, matter of fact, the only retro video game they showed was the Atari Adventure, and they were showing that just being played on a CRT. But to take an old 8-bit pixel block thing and try to stretch it out to a modern movie screen, it would just look horrible. And I get that, but it would have been nice to see some type of modern treatment of how Hollywood could have portrayed what a VR retro game might have looked like, you know. And I think that was a lost opportunity that I think a lot of us would have liked to have seen, but for whatever reason, it just didn't happen, you know.
Yes, I remember that. At least they did include some retro games at the end there. Even if they didn't show all of them, they were at least talking about them. You saw them all busy trying to work out which retro game is the one that we're supposed to play. And, you know, people will buy the book. You know, I've read the book too. It's really good. I recommend it if you haven't read it all already by Ernest Cline.
Yeah.
If more people read that book, maybe more people will get into retro games because it is
absolutely
heavily, of course.
Yeah, and the best way, I actually listened to the audio book, which was read by Will Wheaton, and that really breathed some life into it as well. And yeah, to me that book was just it's an infomercial for the 80s. Everything that was cool about the 80s is somehow woven through the story. So for those of us who were there, it's a great kind of reminder of that. And for those who weren't, it's probably going to get you wanting to learn more about 80s culture, like, because this is a future-based story where everybody's into 80s because, the whole thing. So I think it could definitely, kind of inspire some people to want to get into that.
And if I remember correctly, Klein actually did a breakdown of all the retro stuff he referenced in the book as opposed to the movie. And he did cover Dagrath and stuff like that. And I think those interviews with him are on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. So that is really cool how this made its way into a really full circle. It made its way even into Ready Player One. Cool stuff. All right, so we might have a chance of being almost as good as last week's show at this point. So, now that is amazing, a great story, and we really appreciate you being here, and really definitely appreciate you shining some modern light on our favorite vintage system.
Yeah, and thanks for contacting me and sharing the video when it was still private. That was I hadn't thought about that interview in a while because it was years ago that I did it, but it was really interesting to see that.
It's a really wonderful interview. I was already into retro video games, but I wouldn't have called myself a retro gamer really until just recently. And that interview kind of pushed me over the edge because it got me to really appreciate the people who make the games, because it's easy just to look back at them, and some people might think, oh, they're inferior graphically, it's maybe not worth my time reading up about them. But once you've read an interview with one of the developers, I think it changes your perspective. You appreciate the art form behind it and the history. And it is a part of human history. And, retro gaming is a growing industry now. I think more people, maybe as they get older and they tire a little bit of modern video games. For me, I find it very relaxing, actually. Since I've been looking for the remaining games that Ken made, I've taken an interest in the other games for the CoCo and the Dragon 32, and I just find it very relaxing to research all of this. So that's now become a hobby of mine. So hopefully I'll come back again and tell you if I find anything interesting. One thing that's the part of the hobby I wasn't expecting is that there is a prospect to actually give back a little bit, because I'm enjoying doing this, but I'd also like to be able to give back a little bit. So the archiving aspect really appeals to me. The idea that there are games out there that were released for the CoCo and the Dragon that no one knows what they look like or how they play. We don't know what the cover art was.
Mm-hmm.
We just know the title of the game.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys can give me some tips on how I go about helping out with that project of archiving these games, because I found one recently on eBay. It's the first auction that I won for a collection of Dragon games rather than just one game that I was
sure.
And part of the reason I bid on that is because I saw a game that there was no information about it other than the name on the World of Dragon archive, and it's not on every game going either. There's no ROM to download. There's no image of the cassette.
Oh, yeah. So if you've got maybe one of the only few wild copies out there, we might want to have you digitize that and send that to the archive. Yeah. So I don't know what that process is like, but if you reach out to the blokes on the Dragon Facebook group, or even if you just join the World of Archive forum and post a message, I'm sure you'll get some resounding support on how to help you do that. And I'm sure they would all appreciate that.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Of course, there's
how old is he? How old are you?
I'm going to be turning 35 next month.
Well, it's good to see younger people getting involved backwards. You're almost as old as our machines.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Nick?
Yeah, that on the moving up to say the CoCo 3, there was also my Gatecrasher.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah, so yeah, Nick has a Doom-like game for the CoCo 3 that is kind of a little bit, I guess, more like Castle Wolfenstein because it doesn't have the textures on it, but it's definitely a Doom-like game that runs on the CoCo 3. So that would be really interesting to see that done in virtual reality as well.
Oh, I'd love to. Can I get a link to that? And is it? Sorry, did you say it's released already, or are you just still working on it?
No, it's done. It's
It's been out since what, 2000, 2001, I think.
yeah.
It's under 300, so
go to what's my webpage link?
NickMarentes.com.
I know. It is www.nickmarentes.com. Yeah, and that'll
Marentes. Does Curtis have your email?
Well, yeah, we're Facebook friends, so he can.
Ben. Okay, so yeah, Ben. So if we can reach out to you, we'll get you a link to So you're mentioning how listening to the authors talk about the making the games. We're very lucky that a lot of them are here on our show every week too. That the ones who have made games from the past and who are still making them today. So Nick Marentes from Australia right here is one of those guys. And Rick Adams is on here too. So some of the living legends of this software are still very active in the community, and we're fortunate to have a number of them on the show every week too. So
yeah, and I've got a Gatecrasher entry on my games page too, if you want to take a quick preview of it and see if it.
Yeah.
I just put the link to Curtis's page and Nick Marentes' page in the chat.
And I just sent Ben a link through the chat of Zoom with a link directly to the Gatecrasher website.
Okay, I saw that. I'm on there right now.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that would be, and that one works off of the keyboard too. So you should be able to, map it over very similar to what you did for Phantom Slayer.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah, the door locks would be the only thing you might have to.
Oh yeah, trying to figure out the keypad type thing.
But it's only 3 colors. I guess 3 button maps wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, if you could somehow get the VR glove where you could just move your hand in virtual space and just tap on the keypad, that would be great. So
Ben would be fun at a CoCo Fest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to come to a CoCo Fest. Where do you hold it? Do you have one in the UK?
They have dragon meetups in the UK, which you could find out about on the Facebook group. But yeah, the CoCo Fest is in Chicago once a year. This year will be the 28th anniversary or 29th anniversary? 28th anniversary, right?
Yeah. 28th. The first weekend in May.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, speaking of anniversaries, I happened to notice yesterday it was, in a way, the anniversary, the birthday of video games. It was the 70th. It was 70 years yesterday since the patent for the first electronic game was granted. It was
wow.
that cathode ray tube thing.
Is that the Pong game or what?
Or Space War?
Space War.
No.
No.
Space War would only be the early 60s, late 50s.
Though there was that tennis type game they did in oscilloscope even before Space War.
Yeah, there was a British computer that they had one. Which one is it?
Interesting. 70 years. Wow.
Yeah, I actually just started a blog yesterday and just coincidentally realized that it was this anniversary. So that was the part of the subject of my first blog post. So because I'm very new to this retro game collecting, I thought I'd keep a record of what I learn, so other people might find that helpful.
Can you post the link to your blog in the Zoom chat, and I'll throw it into the YouTube chat so it becomes part of the video?
Sure.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so you are somewhat young for somebody who's into retro. We got a guy in our Florida retro club who's like 14 years old who's gotten into retro collecting. You know what I mean?
That's great.
It's really interesting when you see some
cool
young people. They're totally into it. Hey, Chris Cromwell says, Nick Marentes, I might need a replacement disc of Gatecrasher and Pac-Man. Right? You're talking about a physical disc or or just like for a disk image, Chris, like for the SDC.
Yeah, because if you order Nick's Popstar Pilot, it comes with both of those.
Yeah, I mean, if he's just trying to repair the old discs, I can send him DSK images for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, all my software's on a Popstar Pilot, so when you buy Popstar, you get everything.
Yeah, and that you can get from our swag shop at 8bit256.com. Shameful plug. Yes. There's a link to Ben's blog. So it's retrogiveback.com. Oh, I like that link. Let's take a look at that. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. Retrogiveback.com. And oh, look at this. Looky. Let me pull it up on the screen where everybody else can see it too. Yes, retrogiveback.com. He's got Tempest up there. Classic game Tempest. And then we have projects, interviews, and blog. Okay, that looks cool. Welcome to retrogiveback.com. Okay, so guys, check it out. Check out his blog at retrogiveback.com.
I had fun making that homepage because those images are in fact animated. If you hold the cursor over, then it animates a little bit.
Oh, look at
one
that.
of the Tetraminos comes down in the Tetris.
Yeah.
And the guy there is from 3D Monster Maze.
Okay.
Which came out in 1981, I think, or so. So that's the one with the dinosaur that's chasing you in the maze, and then of course Pac-Man, the ghosts.
Yeah, that's neat.
I see your patents here that you're mentioning are from 1947 and 48.
Welcome to Retro Giveback, huh? So this is the patent here for the video game?
Yes, that's right. I can't remember the names of the people who got it, but there's a link to the Wikipedia page if you click on that.
1947, huh? Electronic game which was never used by either the inventors or the laboratory. It was manufactured beyond the original. Wow. Neat.
I think the game was you had to guide a missile to a target, and I think you put some kind of overlay on the monitor like you used to do with the Magnavox Odyssey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
the
a very simple game, and most games from even the period of the CoCo, they may look very, very simple, and perhaps not even appealing to someone who just plays Call of Duty, but they should appreciate the fact that without those games and without those developers, we wouldn't have modern games.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have the system that could run them because microprocessors were extremely expensive, and yes, the military using them so much did bring the cost down. But just the fact that people were willing to spend money to buy very early consoles like the Magnavox Odyssey and those early systems and the CoCo and the Dragon proved that there was a market for it. So I have a lot of respect for developers from that period, and I think other people will also appreciate it at some point in their gaming life. They will look back and hopefully fall in love with them, like I have.
Yeah, so the interesting thing was, the first computer was the Enigma machine, and it was a code cracker for World War II, and it was really just it was a thing to serve a purpose. And then something like the Univax or something else, which was a more flexible machine that could do more than one thing, but with general purpose computer. But when these things were made, entertainment was the furthest thing from the minds of the necessity of these machines. But once the people who started using them said, yeah, I'm doing my work, I'm doing my thing, but wouldn't it be neat if we did this? And then games like Space War were invented, and games like the original Colossal Cave adventure games were invented on old mainframe systems where they weren't even like, consumers didn't see these things yet. It was just the privileged 12 people who had access to this technology would make games to say, well, what if, or could we? And now we can entertain ourselves with this thing, and it just kind of sparked an industry, So it's really neat that the stuff we never expected would be used for fun and games, or wasn't designed or intended for, has become, and it's now to the point where games are leading the hardware, where modern PC and console games are pushing computer technology further because we want games to be able to do more and more and more. So hardware has to keep trudging forward. So now it's in a race where the entertainment industry is pushing all the other industries to keep up with the demands of what we want. So it's really interesting how it's kind of become a whole flipped script.
Yeah,
You know?
and how big the industry has gotten. I mean, right now, video game industry is actually outselling, I think, the music and movie industries combined at this point. So, you know, in that short span of time, you know, how much it's generating as revenue and how popular it is worldwide.
If anyone is interested in history of those early computing devices, if you go to YouTube and search for the Computer History Museum, they have a bunch of videos explaining those old machines, and it's kind of amazing how far we've come.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that got me interested in wanting to play games on a computer were the text adventure games, which had no graphics whatsoever. I liked playing those games like Pyramid and Racket 2 and stuff, because I was also playing at the time Dungeons and Dragons, which was on paper. You know, so this was a game of the imagination where you didn't see anything, you imagined it, and the text adventures were kind of like a single player version of that, where you could, an interactive story where you were in the story. So it was the text adventures that got me interested in computers, because the Atari 2600 couldn't offer that. You know, so the computers were more compelling, that they had regular video games like an Atari, but they also had these text adventure games that were a little bit more richer.
Graphics of the mind.
Yeah, theater of the mind. The most advanced GPU on the planet, the human brain. So,
when I was at school in '69, we had a IBM Selectric with the ball.
1869?
Yeah, pretty much. And the monitor was the paper, the bar paper going through it. And we played Hangman, and the computer was based somewhere else. It was just a terminal in our school.
Time shared.
Yeah. And that was amazing. We would stand all huddled together watching the thing print. You know, you'd type in the answer for the question of the next letter or whatever. So that was a game. It was text, and there was no monitor.
Yeah. Imagine that. Your output was, the earlier computers output to paper before they even added screens to it, right? So you punched in a bunch of stuff, and if you were lucky, you got the right answer spit out on paper.
Screens were very expensive. Not very many places had them.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I wonder how the game of Rogue would go on that Oculus. It's not a 3D game, but it's another idea. Maybe you can walk, physically walk to navigate all the maze in.
Well, you know what it also makes me think of is Rick Adams still on the call?
Yes.
So so Rick's game Temple of Ram was kind of a top-down adventure explorer,
I don't think top-down really works for this.
But you know how the guy is working on the 3D version of your game.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, Return to Ram, right? So now we take your Return to Ram, where he's taking your top-down game, made it 3D, first person, and add VR to that. And that's probably something you never would have imagined, that number one, my game has become 3D. Number two, somebody can put on a headset and walk through the actual Temple of Ram,
Yeah, Ben, if you have one of your things set up in Minneapolis, let us know. We'll see if we can get Rick Adams down there.
How would that feel, Rick, having the game that you made then turned into a 3D virtual reality experience where people could literally walk through the Temple of Ram? That would blow your mind, wouldn't it?
Well, that would be pretty amazing, actually. I would not mind at all, though.
It would make you feel like Stan Lee. Your creation has now been taken off into this new thing where the entire world can see it on a bigger playing field.
Some people I can imagine how some people might get mad that, hey, you're stealing my game. But what he's doing is so far removed from what I did. It's so derivative that I don't mind.
Yeah.
And he's doing it because he loved my game, back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm not feeling it. I'm not mad. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's a celebration if you think about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So the potential of like we were saying earlier, to this newer technology to augment something and breathe a new life into the experience. The possibilities are somewhat endless,
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's quite possible that going back to Ready Player One, that what the future has in store for us, we may replace reality altogether and live in virtual reality if we no longer have to do things in the real world because we have robots doing everything for us, then our respect for video games is just going to increase even more, because for a while, as growing up, I was aware that some people looked on video games as a silly hobby, but now it has much more respect because those kids who are playing have grown up and now they're the adults, they're the parents, so they get to decide what's cool and what's not cool. You don't have anyone talking down and saying that video games are silly.
Right.
But if they become how we live our lives, even then I think that more people will look back at the origins of video games and say that, it all started there, and have much more respect for the developers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. One of the running jokes is that the kids who are playing video games now will grow up to be parents that realize you can't pause an online game. Because right now they're like, "Can you pause your game? It's time to come to dinner." "No, Mom, I can't pause it. I'm online." You know what I mean? So it's just future generations are going to continue to.
My kids used to give me that. "I can't come to dinner right now. I can't pause this game," and I'm like, "Dude, you can go to a menu. All right."
Old
Don't
games
try
could
to
be
put one over
paused.
on me.
Yeah. Old games could be paused, but the new ones not so much, right? So
there's actually a Bruce Willis movie called Surrogates, where people can have like an avatar in the real world. And they just,
yeah,
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Time to buy stock in Soylent Green.
Yeah. Good discussion. It's kind of scary too when you think about Ready Player One and all these sci-fi things predict a future where, it becomes our undoing, these new things where you enjoy your fake reality so much that you neglect the real reality, and it's just like, it's like if that's the world where, you see the stacks and how they're living in these freaking trailer parks stacked up, and most of United States, this looks like a garbage pile, and so the real reality becomes a place you want to avoid because it's been neglected, so that becomes a whole new challenge when you have these new tools that augment our human experiences. Where do we draw the line of where we want to invest our time? And it's a whole new set of challenges,
I crashed out, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all new technology. It has both good and bad points. I mean, the fact that we can have doctors now, do virtual operations, remotely using some robots controlled by, gloves that they've got on with virtual reality gloves, and actually do operations, and they don't have to fly out to, the South Pole or something. That's a really good way of using this type of technology. But on the other hand, as some people mentioned in the chat, we've got the problem that if everything becomes so automated with robots, et cetera, and nobody earns money and nobody can get jobs, like how are you going to be able to afford to do things that you really want to do? Like, do we have to go to a completely moneyless society or something? Because I know some people would be against that. So it's a complex topic.
But looking very far into the future, what if there comes a point where there's nothing you can experience in the real world that you can't experience, but much more powerfully in virtual reality? At the end of Ready Player One, they say reality is still the only place you can get a decent meal. But is that true, though? Because if you're tapped into the Matrix, you can experience anything and not know the difference between that and reality.
We still don't have
smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
Well, even now, everybody's walking around like people with the, and they got,
Yeah, it's true, because right now, even in the middle of real reality, people are more staring at the screen in their hand than the people next to them. So we're already somewhat
that's when they
immersed.
fall into fountains in malls.
Yeah.
But wasn't the message in Ready Player One at the very end saying the opposite, saying how the real world is the better world? Didn't the guy fall in love with the girl for real? That was the answer to the whole puzzle, like getting away from the whole artificial world. And something,
maybe it's open-ended, it's open to your interpretation, but the impression that I got was that it would be a good idea to take a break from virtual reality for at least one day a week so that you can attend to things in the real world.
Yeah.
I think it was trying to strike an optimistic note that yes, the world's in a bad state, but it's not helpless. We
Right.
can fix the problems in the real world and still enjoy playing video games. I thought that was the message.
Yeah, all this actually has me wanting to watch that movie. I'm going to probably have to find it. I saw it in the theaters, but it's been a while. So
I saw it in 3D.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah. So, cool movie. Very, very cool. Great discussions. What do you say? Are we ready to put a fork in this one? This topic done for now?
We're going to take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break. We'll take a brief commercial break and we'll come back. But are we good now, everybody?
Yep.
I think so. We'll do a follow-up when they start releasing the new stuff here next year.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, we can't thank you enough, Ben, for being here and sharing this with us. And again, like I say, you're welcome to hang out as long as you want today and everything else. All right, so we're going to take a brief break and we'll be back. Perry's asking, when is the next Coco Talk After Dark? Well, how about we just got done talking about enjoying reality and being in the moment. So let's enjoy Coco Talk during day right now. But yeah, but with it, so I was thinking about, would we do one tonight? But tonight's the roundtable thing for the Coco crew, so we don't want to cause any confusion or collusion there. So we probably won't do one. Or maybe after the roundtable we can do an After Dark, and you guys can tell us what you roundtabled. Who knows? So to be determined, Perry. But in the meantime, we're here right now on Coco Talk during day, which will return after these words.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tim. Playing Daggerith like that idiot from the book. You're watching Coco Talk.
What's going on, everybody? Stevie Stroh, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to Coco Talk. We love doing this show. We think we've put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Oh, I remember that Christmas. Dad gave me my first shortwave radio from Radio Shack. What memories. This Christmas, we got our son's Color Computer 3 from Radio Shack. It hooks right up to our TV and was on sale for less than $130. The Color Computer 3 makes learning fun. Jimmy even lets me use it for word process when he isn't playing computer games. Lucky I still got my shortwave.
Save $70 on the sale-priced Color Computer 3, only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
All right, and we're back. Now, one of the things that I did mention when I posted the link to the show today in Facebook, and it's in the description here as well, was, I wanted this show to be, all about the holiday cheer and sharing the love and the joy and the spirit. So if anybody wants to join us on the Zoom call, you're always welcome. There's never been a time where anybody wasn't welcome to join us, but today you're even more welcome than ever. And the link to join us on Zoom is out there in the description of this video. Love to have more people come on and not just talk with us on the sidebar, but just talk with us, using your words. That would be great. So feel free to join us at any time. Love to have you here. I've got a whole bunch of news stuff to go over because I also feel like we've had so many interviews lately that the news segments were kind of rushed. So I thought today, since we didn't have a big main segment, although we ended up having one anyways, that we'd have more time to really talk about the news and let it breathe like a fine wine when you take the cork off and everything. So we can talk about some stuff and just talk. I want to once again say how much joy I got listening to last week's show and how proud I was to have this moment where I realized that I'm part of this thing that is bigger than all of us, because it is all of us, like this show, like listening to the show. I had nothing to do with the show, and it was probably one of the best shows we ever had last week, because this show is all of us. This show is the community, and we all came together and just had an excellent show. So I feel very proud to be amongst all you knuckleheads. You know what I mean? This community is a great community. We're a bunch of good people. We love this machine. We're fond of most of us, here. So, we get along pretty well. We play well in the sandbox together. So, it's that spirit. This show started with the spirit of CoCo Fest. Like, we were excited for CoCo Fest, and now that it's getting close to Christmas, that you get that once a year, everybody feels really good, and we're all good to each other, and we feel warm and fuzzy inside. That was kind of the feeling of CoCo Fest that started this show. And I feel like, now that it's getting close to Christmas time, hopefully that feeling's in the air, that spirit. But I also feel like, listening to last week's show, just the feeling of how well we mesh as a bunch of people who have these common interests and enthusiasms, it really made me feel warm and fuzzy and tingly inside. So I'm hoping to share that feeling and invite everybody to share that feeling with us today. So on that note, I'll turn that over to anybody else who wants to talk about that.
Well, I think
go ahead. Paul T. Barton.
Yeah, this last Wednesday we just signed on a home that we've been renting, so now we're the owners.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Long time coming.
Oh, it's only been since July.
Okay.
It's the underwriters that run everything. The banks and the loaners have nothing to do with it. Those underwriters call all the shots.
Wow.
So now you're going to build the man cave off the back of the house?
Oh, yeah.
The mad laboratory where all the experiments will begin.
Yeah. I don't have enough room right now.
I imagine
Ron will help you design the garage with all the CoCo stuff in it. So
yeah,
you're going to have to get 220 service in there.
Yeah.
I've got Paul and Ron side to side on my screen at the moment. I'm sort of confused. Which one's Ron and which one's Paul? Well, the real Ron.
Paul has
hands up. The real Ron.
That's Ron and Paul. I thought it was ZZ Top. Sorry.
I'm the one with the New York T-shirt. So
okay.
And the bookcase behind him.
Yeah. That's one of many bookcases.
One of them
here.
looks younger than the other one.
Which one?
I'll be 74 just after Christmas.
Very, very cool. Well, how about we lead off then, Paul? I'm going to switch over and show one of your things that you posted to Facebook recently.
Right.
And it says IDE. So
Yeah.
what are we looking at here, Paul?
This is an IDE controller. It will, for now, it runs a single drive. I'm not sure what else I can do with it. It's a single CPLD, old school. It's a 5-volt only part. It worked. The board worked the first time out. The only thing I screwed up on was the width of the fingers. It's not enough meat on the side, so it kind of wobbles in the socket. But it does work.
Oh, neat.
And I can address it to any of the I/O spaces, even illegal ones. I cannot get it to do 2 drives yet, and I don't know if that's the driver or some little quirk that I haven't rediscovered.
What does this emulate?
What is it? It emulates the Glenside drive controller.
Okay.
The TTL version. When I did this, I swapped the address space of the controller itself because I found out if you put the data port right next to the latch port, you could do like a 16-bit read, and reads would go twice as fast than having to read from this port and then that port. So the drivers unfortunately only work with the Glenside
software. Now, what are those jumpers for?
Okay, I have jumpers on here that will connect this SLENB or disconnect it so you can force mapping out. I have a jumper for this jumper is for inverting or normalizing the address register set. There's a set of registers. You can have them upside down or right side up with the latch not moving. And the other 3 are to map out the address space. So I can put it at FF10 or 30. I've tried it in 5 different spots. FF10, 30, 50, 60, and 70. Of course, you can't use 20 and 40 or 0 because they're already in hardware.
Yeah, no, that's an expansion off the original Glenside, because if I remember, that one only did FF5X and 7X, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 5 and 7, right.
So what size of a drive do you have on there?
Well, I've got 3 different drives that I've been playing with. Let's see. This one is...
Looks like you've got a minion in the background there. Has he been helping you on your designs?
Oh, this thing? Yeah, it's one of those talking... It's one of those talking ones. You can move their head and they say different things. If you stick your finger in your mouth, they fart.
That's just like Ron Delvaux.
You've never seen that.
This is perfect for this show.
You've never seen that. There's a whole bunch of them. Anyway, so I wanted to see if I could resurrect the old schematic for the Lattice CPLD compiler. So I pulled it off of the CD drive that I'd backed up probably in 1990 or somewhere back there. And by rearranging the pins so I could have a nice clean layout instead of having them scrambled all over, it fired up. The first one I built was this one. And of course, it's all.
Oh, yes. I love your choice in wire color.
The wire. and a socket. And,
it ain't pretty, but it works.
Yeah.
Hey, it still functions. And a piece of old IBM 16-bit card that I hacked up. And of course, the purists are probably screaming.
I still wish I had Mozilla. That was wire wrap heaven to watch.
Oh, gosh, that was so fun. It was all one color, too. Yellow.
That person is a masochist.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do that one.
So this was kind of like you wanted to scratch the itch, and can I make it? And now you made this for you. Are you planning on producing these at all? Or
I have a couple of guys that want to buy one, but only if I can get the second drive to work, and I cannot figure out what I'm doing different. I made the descriptors just like the old style, but I used modern
and this is just me, and this is no disrespect to you or anybody else, but what I have a hard time trying to understand now, I appreciate the fact that you're recreating this interface, stuff like that, but when somebody says, yeah, I'm not going to buy it unless I can get 2 hard drives working, I have to ask myself, what the hell is somebody going to be doing with 2 hard drives on the CoCo in the first place? Because when I see this, I'm like, this is cool, but we have the CoCo SDC, you know, so you can make as many hard drives as you want, you know. So, who number one was that person, David Ladd, in the first place?
No,
and
he
then
hasn't contacted.
and
No, it was somebody on the Facebook site.
And so I'm just trying to imagine. It's like, because you have, in order for this to work, you either need to have the old IDE hard drives, which are older,
right,
and not going to last as long. Or then you have to then do something like the IDE to compact flash adapter or IDE to SD adapter. And if you're doing all that, you might as well just go straight to those things in the first place. So again, no disrespect or no venom in the question, but I have to wonder who is this insane person who says I need 2 old hard drives connected to my CoCo when clearly the SDC exists, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You can go look on the Facebook site and figure it out. Here's what the chips look like. They're, the old style 5-volt only,
huge,
large package, and there's not very many of these. They're kind of hard to find. I got these from Israel.
Wow.
And he's got a few more. The next bunch is going to be the little tiny ones, the little.
Right, because this basically is only good for people running OS 9 and Nitrous 9, right? This really serves no benefit at all to RS-DOS.
You could, if you wrote a driver for it, you could treat it like a floppy.
Like RGB DOS or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
So this is really, if you're a hardcore old school purist and you want to have OS 9 the way OS 9 used to be when the old clunky metal hard drives that, and I guess IDE hard drives, one reason why you might need more than one is because there was a maximum size. They weren't even getting into terabyte size in the days of IDE, right? They were only in the several hundred megabytes. So did OS 9 do anything like drive spanning where you could have one volume that spanned more than one disk, or did they have to be separated as different drive descriptors because they're different? I never used the hard drives on the CoCo ever. So
in the past, I had drives that were too big, and so I made descriptors for every partition in the drive.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I just used the LSN number bracketed. So if it popped up like H1 or H2 for hard drive 1 or hard drive 2 partition, it would only use LSN numbers in a certain range, and it would just stay in that range. And I would have as many as 16 partitions on a drive and still not use it all up.
Wow.
I mean, after a while, you run out of room because you've got to have all the descriptors and all the data for every one, and it just takes up a bunch of space.
Yeah,
it also depends if you clustered them too, because you could set up drives to be up to 4 gig if you set your cluster size higher.
Right.
The standard
you could
one
use
sector
bigger
per cluster
drives.
was 128 meg, and then you could divide those into multiple descriptors. I know I tested a Seagate 20 gig here when I was doing the second version of the Glenside drivers years ago, and I actually used the entire 20 gig drive. I had 5 partitions of 4 gig each.
Yeah. So if you touched a file, it was 4 gigs.
And that's pretty cool though. that's insane. So it's neat, and I know there are. And I'm not that person. So this, to me, I know there's going to be people who are going to appreciate this and stuff. But, I'm like, listen, I like playing on the original hardware, but I'm kind of okay with this hybrid scenario we have now where I could use the original CoCo, but I can use something modern like the CoCo SDC, and that's good enough for me. And I realize I am not everybody. So there's other people who would like a more pure, real hardware experience, and this definitely scratches that itch, right?
Yeah. Or they might have some of the older drives that has some of their stuff on it, and
you have a drive, exactly,
died or whatever. You may want to get the controller to get it back.
There was a time in the past where everybody who had a cassette and a floppy drive thought, "Wow, it'd be really cool to have a hard drive."
Right.
I mean,
or floppy for that matter.
Those were the days. Some, if you go back far enough.
Yeah, I have pictures of old machines that I had set up and have like a couple of IDE controllers, so there'd be a whole pile of drives in a box, and there'd be 3 floppies on a high density controller, and it was really fun.
So we have a question here from Retro Innovations, Jim Brain. He's saying, are you going to are you going to, or could you put a CF slot on that controller where you would use a compact flash drive as a hard drive?
Sure. I don't see why not.
Yeah. It sounds like feature creep's happening already.
Yeah, I know. Feature-righted. Yeah.
Add a
Well,
sound
I
chip.
got, for $2, I got a pile of these boards, so
Yeah.
I'll play around with them and see how they work.
Yeah, could you add a sound chip too while you're at it?
Yeah, right.
And
there's room on the bottom.
Yeah, and a blinky light.
Oh, it's got that already.
Yeah.
And the Oculus interface as well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we need that.
VR interface on that.
We need a CoCo. Well, that was Jim Brain was showing us at the Commodore thing. Somebody came up with the VR for the 8-bit systems, right? Where you used the kind of composite monitor and split the signal into the two different lenses. And so it was a kind of a poor man's VR for old retro systems. Yeah.
Have the frame rate, but yeah.
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 Yeah, that's exactly what Sega's VR was going to do.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Yahoo. Yeah, there's still room in the CPLD, so I could put a bunch of lights on it or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Rolling blaze.
Blinky lights are very important.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jim says that was called VR 64. Yeah.
Found the link. Got it saved.
Neat. That's cool, Paul. So what else can we expect from Barton Laboratories in the near future?
Oh, I don't know. Just whatever.
Cool stuff. Yeah, because this is when I want to beat my head into the wall. When I'm on one of these late night calls with Discord, and David Ladd's like, "Well, I need the 8-slot MPI so I could plug in 2 CoCo SDCs and get 2 hard drives on there, and then I can plug in a Glenside IDE controller and get 2 more hard drives on there." And I'm just thinking, WTF? What does anybody need this many things for, other than David Ladd? What insane person needs these many things?
And I don't help when I ask him, well, you forgot about the SCSI.
Yeah, right.
So this is what I think of when I see something like this. I think it's really cool that, and this looks like a very, period correct design, but more modern and efficient looking too. So it's kind of cool.
Sounds like David's compensating.
Back when I had a CD drive running on it also.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you could do this. This would read an optical drive too, because that's IDE.
Right. There was a fella who developed the drivers for that, and it basically took up most of your space.
Yeah, that was Chris Hawks, if I remember.
Yeah.
That's neat. So how many of these exist right now?
10.
Okay. Cool stuff.
Minimum board order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a board order.
Yep. And I don't know if Chet's still with us on the call or not, but I do have a link to it here. Right before Chet went away, he left us a second version of his game, Digger 3, with the disc. So it's Digger 3 version 1.01a disc. So this one you can download and run on your CoCo 3. I guess he says it fixed a problem where the other version wouldn't work if you had 2 megs of RAM.
He fixed the warp codes because his original code was basically the last 5.
Yes. So yeah.
So now you can actually get your codes for every single level you make it to.
There you go. And yep. And so I have it downloaded. I just haven't put it on my SD card to play it on my CoCo, so maybe this weekend we'll have time to do that. Oh, so Mark Bosley says you need to add a Birkenberg HD IO to it, whatever that means.
Hyper IO, yeah, that was
Hyper-IO.
their way to use the Birkenberg under disk basic.
Ah, okay.
But that's even older than ID. I mean, the Birkenberg was based on the old PC XT hard drive controllers.
Oh, wow. All right. So here's a picture that Jason Downs had posted. I believe he was, what was he talking about originally? I forgot. He said, I just want to share the amazing quality of Richard Lorbieski does. And so he sent
a plug for Voice on Tech.
Plug for Voice on Tech. So is this the CoCo VGA that's added onto here, or what is this?
No, it's a composite. The one
okay. Composite
the handy ones that we use for schools and stuff.
Okay. But yeah, so the board is clean and pretty, much like David Ladd's head. So that's looking nice and good there. Yeah, I mean, you can just see the reflections of how clean that board is, right? This looks like it was showroom finish, right? So good stuff. Good job, Richard Lorobieski. Thanks for sharing that picture, Jason. And to be fair and balanced, Richard isn't the only person who does repairs, but he's doing them right now. But yes, I believe Cloud9 also does repairs, but Richard is doing them, and Richard did this one. So, and the picture is here. The proof is in the pudding. Good stuff there. Thanks for sharing that, Jason. Now, I don't know if I have both versions of this, but did you guys talk about this in depth last week? Richard Kelly's new kind of like T&D magazine, where it's a subscription-based thing where you got the software on disc.
We did not go in depth. We just mentioned that he'd gotten the first issue out, and at the time of the show, I hadn't even had a chance to look at it yet. So
right, so he's putting together a little compilation, and so it's kind of like a little mini magazine PDF file. So you've got a digital document to read, and with that comes with a disc, which would be a combination of software that's legally able to be redistributed. So copyright blessed sharing of certain real software from other sources, as well, I guess, as some of his own original creations too. Then he's mixing in with it.
Mixture of old commercial stuff and some of his own conversions, I think, for the most part, from other platforms or from what I briefly read about it.
Yeah, so cool stuff. But I think it was posted as two separate links. So one link was the actual PDF, which was the magazine, and then the second link was the actual disc file itself, which I would definitely like to take a look at too. So I haven't had time to hardly do anything, but yeah, this is worth looking at. And so it's another, it's kind of another cool thing where we have people creating stuff for us, kind of like what Bruce Moore was doing with CoCo Forever, where it's kind of a little bit larger than any one thing. So this has got a bunch of software and a little pamphlet to read with it, and some new software and things like that. And it's just something to get people interested in something new and something different. It's an out-of-the-box idea that's kind of almost a reboot of things like Rainbow on Disc and Rainbow on Tape and T&D and stuff like that, right?
Or Chromosat or any of the other ones.
Yeah. So that's cool. Has anybody had a chance to look at this? Anybody seen it?
I've downloaded it. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Go ahead, Ron.
I looked at the PDF.
Yeah, I did too.
Pretty good.
Cool stuff. So thanks for doing that, Richard.
Subscribe or contributor? How do you support it?
You mean as far as to pay for it?
Yeah.
Or how do you get it? Right now, you're getting it from the Facebook group. I don't know if he's got a website for this, and I don't think he's asking anything for it. So, but it was a little bit. I know a few people were asking. Well, I saw the PDF, but where was the disc? And they were just two separate posts. So I don't know if he's ever gonna get to the point where he'd have a website where you could get the links to that. Hello, Megan. Oh wow, that's a cool outfit. It's new. It's very sparkly. Hold on a second. I'm looking at her new sparkly outfit here. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for sharing. Excellent. Cool. Yeah. So thank you. You're too kind. So so I don't know. I don't know the end game here is, but this is issue 1. I think he had mentioned in an earlier post that it had like 10 different issues already planned out, and he was just kind of putting all the pieces together. Cool.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, just more content. Now, speaking of something to look forward to, Ron Delvaux has posted for us the Nitrous 9 watch, at the OS 9 Tandy watch, or is the mobile color computer, the CoCo wrist computer? What do we call this here, Ron?
It's just your CoCo watch.
Your CoCo watch. It's like there's the Apple Watch. You need a CoCo watch.
Yeah, someone mentioned that they want to win the lottery and actually produce it.
For the people that think the MC10 keyboard is too large.
and this is not actual buttons. Those would be, you'd use a stylus and it would be pressure sensitive. It's just a picture.
Like a membrane keyboard?
Yes, it's a picture of the keyboard.
Oh, I see.
And
okay.
So,
the virtual keyboard.
Yeah.
But if you're wearing it on your wrist, you can only type with one hand.
Now, is this going to interface to the CoCo via Bluetooth, so it's paired to your CoCo, and your important messages that pop up will show up on your CoCo watch too?
Yeah, you can cast to your 75-inch Samsung.
Oh, excellent! You can cast from it too. Excellent.
Can you plug in Paul's IDE board so you can attach some hard drives to it?
Yeah.
We can dim lights with this thing.
Oh, you got the X10 controller that Mark Overholzer got. You can control your house from your wrist.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And, little program packs that fit in the side.
Excellent. That reminds me. Remember the Byte magazine
micro SD cards?
The Byte magazine cover where they showed a wristwatch with like a CRT display and a little mini floppy drive they were sticking in the side. Somebody envisioned the computer watch of the future.
We need a mini boomerang to hook it up to different monitors.
Mini boomerang for RAM.
But the only thing is, the battery is going to be so big and heavy. Either you're going to have to have a battery pack around your waist.
Yeah, a backpack.
This uses biological.
With it weighing so much, you're going to have one on each wrist so you're balanced.
This is a biological battery. There's two probes that fit on your arm.
If you watch people playing CoCo games flailing their arms around like this, then you know it's one of those.
You keep moving, you keep it powered.
Okay, Tom C. wants to know if it has a sound chip, and Ken Reichert's asking, does it have hardware sprites?
And 2-layer graphics.
2-layer graphics.
It's just like the CoCo. Third-party support for all.
There you go.
Color mode.
Well, this is a great product. Is this coming from Boyson Technologies, or is this coming from Paul Barton Labs or Rondell Voves Industries?
Paul likes to put wires on, so I'm not sure. What's cool about it is it's good to stare at. It's
absolutely.
After I made it and I posted it, I'm sitting here looking at it, thinking,
it could be.
It could be.
It could be.
It'd
be cool if you could like change the background to be a nuclear green, where the LCD screen was a green screen.
I think actually Ron's onto something here, because we've been looking for something for the logo for the next year's CoCo Fest.
Yeah.
The CoCo of the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2066.
Instead of saying, hey, Siri or Alexa, we get to say, hey, CoCo, right? CoCo, turn my lights on, with my X10. So
you can always reprogram your Siri already. So
yeah.
You're
neat.
Alexa.
So, Ron, where are you going to put the ears? You remember that old system?
Yeah.
Ears, yeah.
We've got 2 new people just come online, which haven't come on before.
On the call?
Mark B. and Robert Siege, or Sieg, whatever.
On the Zoom call?
Yeah, on the Zoom call.
There's 2 new ones. Good. We'll get to them. Get to them in just a bit here.
This is an exercise in bringing about daydreaming.
Yeah. Good job, Ron.
Just something fun.
Put me down for
about.
I'm trying to figure out how to set the.
There's Rob. Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
We hear you.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Camera's not working.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve mentioned that ears. Just as a side note, I was watching one on eBay that was posted out there for $18, which is ridiculously low for something like that. But I was watching it, and it got down to the last 15 seconds, and there must have been some people in the background watching it, because I posted $25 on it, thinking, well, no one's going to bid on it, so I'm going to do it for $25. So I did $25, and then within like 10 seconds, it went up to 100. I think it ended at $168.
Wow. Wow.
Sniping.
At that point that's somebody buying it so they can sell it later at $1,000.
A flipper, right?
Yep.
So this was a kind of a cool question. I think this kind of follows up on one of the discussions that they had on the CoCo crew, like maybe a contest, like 30 days to crank out a piece of software in BASIC or something like that. But Matt Voss was asking the question about squeeze. A couple of questions came up about what can you do with 4K on the CoCo, right? And so he says, I want to try to squeeze out a Centipede clone in 4K of color BASIC, which only has about 2,300 bytes to work with. Should be quite a challenge. Yeah, because color BASIC. Yeah. So that would be interesting to see, right? And Nick Marenti's mentioned that he did a 4K Space Invaders in color BASIC.
If I can share video, I've got it ready to play just to see what the power of 4K color BASIC can do.
Now, was that pure BASIC, or did you have some ML in it too?
No, it's all BASIC. So I'll just quickly bring that up, and it should be sharing now.
Yes, it is. Insert coin. Okay.
Insert coin. That's right. So I'll just hit play. It only goes for a minute or two.
Is there any copyright music in this?
No, no.
There we go. Look at that. That's pretty quick.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
4K color basic.
Or no?
Yeah, there is, but there wasn't much room to put sound commands in there. You'll hear at the very end, I think, when I die, there's a bit of a... There it is. So,
there you go.
And of course, it's 4K color basic, but I mean, you only have about 2.5K free.
Sure.
Reality. So it's a tiny program.
Now, are you? I would imagine at this speed, you're not using set and reset. So you're printing character strings on here to get the speed.
Yeah, I'm printing. Yeah.
Strangely enough, the original game was printable characters.
Yeah. Kind of like what they're doing with the CoCo VGA, where it's a programmable character set.
Think I even, from memory, I think I even use self-modifying code as well. In that, I printed each string was the Space Invaders character all in a row. But then as you got an alien, it actually went in and deleted that alien from the string itself. So it was modifying the string as you were playing, and then. And that's sort of got a bit of the
each row of aliens was one print string, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that kept it simple then.
Yeah, so I was modifying the print string while the game was playing, and that kept the speed up. But yeah, there was no machine language at all in this program.
That's very impressive.
So yeah, if I can do this in 4K color basic, then I'd say the Centipede should be possible. So. Yeah, it was a good challenge. I've never used color basic in the past,
right.
Or certainly 4K. So I think Alan Huffman had started this challenge, a 4K challenge, which I think it never went ahead in the end. But I just took it as a challenge.
He had quite a few submissions, though, from what I remember.
He had a few,
I gave a Torpedo Attack, one of the games I wrote way back when I had my CoCo one with 4K, so 81 maybe.
Yeah.
So
is this in the archive?
Well, it's downloadable off my website. But I just took it as a challenge to see what I could do. I'd never used it before. I mean, it's terrible. There's no edit command, so you're doing an error on a line. You had to retype it. It was pretty cryptic. But I now experienced what color basic in 4K color basic was like. So it's not totally impossible. So there you go. I'll see if I can stop this. There we go.
Very cool. Oh, you know what I just realized this whole time? This whole freaking time you were showing that off, it wasn't making its way through the stream because I'm showing off my left screen. Or if it was showing up very small in the right-hand corner.
I saw it.
Yeah, you guys saw it,
but not in.
It wasn't big on the
screen. Play it again, just
give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. Let me do that. Right. I'm sorry about that. I was so transfixed by the high resolution graphics that I didn't realize what I was saying. Go ahead and do it for us again one time.
Okay.
Steve was envious.
I'll just
there we go.
Stop and go.
Now the people at home can see it too.
Okay, this is it from the start.
From the start.
Attack Wave 1.
There we go.
Look at that.
Now, those folks watching at home, it is actually smoother in real life.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it smooth here, but it might be my bandwidth is slow.
Screen sharing from Australia,
isn't it?
Yeah.
This should be convertible to the MC10 as well, because it was very similar. Like color basic. So maybe someone can just grab my program and MC10ize it.
Yeah, give it to Jim Gary. He'll be done in about 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's right.
It might take a 15.
Yeah, no, it looks good. It definitely looks good.
Okay, so
it's amazing what you can do in semi-graphics,
Yeah.
So somebody's got to write a sound chip for this. The sound chip wouldn't be much, would it?
I remember when Matt was originally posting about asking about, or somebody else maybe was posting about asking about what games ran in 4K, and you had two different types of games. You had. I'll wait for that.
Hold on, Curtis. Hold on, Curtis. We couldn't hear you over the beeping and booping.
Yeah, there's two different types of 4K games when we were doing the original discussion on Facebook about it, because you had cartridges, which means you have additional memory on the cartridge, but it would run with 4K RAM.
Mm-hmm.
But you could actually do some graphics. We had lots of those. We had Double Back, we had Monster Maze, we had Space Assault, Galactic Attack, etc.
Popcorn.
Or if you're trying to do something that natively runs in 4K by itself, loaded off cassette, which is what Nick did with his challenge. And I think we had a couple of third-party games like Color Scarf Man from the Cornsoft group and a few others. But yeah, that's a really tough thing to program in without the cartridge having the additional ROM.
Right. And actually, I don't know if I've asked this question or if you guys answered it in the past, but when it comes to the CoCo running software off of ROM or RAM, is there a speed or performance difference on one over the other?
By default, no, but you can use the ROM speed up poke on a CoCo 1 or 2, and it will affect the ROM cartridge. So I think John Linville used this in Firefall, where he actually kicked in the double speed on the cartridge. So it actually runs faster on a CoCo 1 and 2.
Yes, somebody was playing with that on the Dragon as well. They were doing a demo a few years ago showing how many more objects they could move because of the high speed mode.
Yeah.
I just remember, I don't know if it's applicable to the CoCo, but I know in the early days of PCs, there was a thing you could do in your BIOS to shadow your BIOS and copy your ROM to RAM. So you could like shadow the video BIOS into RAM, and it supposedly made things faster. So I didn't know if there was any speed performance between ROM and RAM in a CoCo, or if just the speed was the speed of the 6809 and there was really no perceivable difference.
Yeah, there was no perceivable difference except for the ROM speed up poke, because that would actually allow you to the ROM part. And if your code was running from the ROM, like a Color Basic program is basically in RAM. Your basic program's in RAM, it just calls the ROMs to execute the commands, and all your graphics, everything else is all locally. So those would run proportionally a little bit slower than a game on ROM cartridge would if you kicked in double speed, because the actual code's up there.
Right.
And it's just the graphics and your variables that are in the RAM. So it actually would probably run maybe an average 50% faster.
So like as an experiment, you could put a piece of tape over pin 40, do the double speed poke, and then execute this.
I did that quite a bit back in the day.
Yeah, and so run a ROM cartridge twice as fast.
Well, see, the reason why you couldn't double speed the RAM was already double speed, because one half of the cycle was going to the video display and refresh system. The other half of the cycle was going to the CPU. So the RAM was already at double speed.
So, Steve, when you did the double speed, the 65497 on a CoCo 1 and 2, and the screen refresh will get screwed up.
Yeah.
Is that actually putting it into quadruple RAM speed then, or what is that?
What you're doing is you're stealing away the cycles that would go to refresh video.
Oh, okay. That explains.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were to put static RAM in place of the dynamic RAM, it would continue to run. You just couldn't see anything.
Yeah, because I do remember it would corrupt the RAM if you ran that mode too long. You could do it in quick bursts. And
because what the computer is doing is during the H blank, it's refreshing memory.
Yeah, and if you put the double RAM speed in a CoCo 1 and 2, then it would start corrupting the RAM because you weren't refreshing it.
Exactly. Good way to crash a program if somebody's pirated it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what I think is kind of cool, and we got some pictures to follow this too. But Per Surratt, and you hear his name a lot more often on the CoCo Crew podcast than you do on here. But so Per does a lot of stuff, and where is Per based out of? Is he like Spain or something like that? I know he's in one of those.
He's somewhere in Europe. I don't remember.
Europe area. So and Per works on a lot of stuff on the Dragon side of things, and so he was talking about a game that he ported called Foggy, and we're going to show some pictures of that because James also posted those in Discord. And this led into another project that we've talked about once or twice, and so has the CoCo Crew, but there is an arcade game designer tool that was used on a lot of other computers that have certain things in common with the CoCo, and they've been working on porting that to the CoCo. And the benefit then becomes there's an existing library of software that would just be able to be recompiled and run on the CoCo automatically, as well as giving us a tool for developers to make new games. And so there is a link to this where he posts on the Archive of the World of Dragon the game Foggy, which I've got some pictures of too. But and this also leads into the fact that so this is his link where he says he's converted Foggy from the ZX Spectrum to 6809, and I guess these were Foggy's Quest, right? So this must have been what the game looked like on the old system, and now we have it on the basically the Dragon and the CoCo, and it actually looks pretty nice, right? You can see this is a good use of the limited 4 colors of that mode.
The top ones are on the CoCo. It's just the 2-color mode.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
On
The engine that
they
he also wrote that does this actually lets you pick between P mode 3 and P mode 4, and it's
Okay.
all that thing and setting the rules.
And it looks like some type of platformer style game. So that looks kind of interesting. So it's just another program for us to enjoy on our CoCos and our Dragons, which then leads into the AGD, right, which is the Arcade Game Designer, which is a tool set that they've been in the process of porting to the CoCo because it runs on other systems that have a VDG chip and other computers from the CoCo era. So and so this project is, so I guess one of the things that Per was saying is that in the process of doing this, it actually got him to spend more time working on the Arcade Game Designer tool as well. So he had to work on that to be able to work on this, which I guess has just moved that project a little further.
Yeah, because that game was originally done on I think the Spectrum or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But
the Spectrum has the same resolution graphics as the P mode 4 graphics.
Okay.
It just has color attributes, so you can do the same games. You just won't have as many colors.
Gotcha.
And the thing that's fascinating to me is that the AGD system that he's porting, which means he can start porting all the other games that have been written into that system.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I last read on his forums there, that system already has between 150 to 170 games made.
Yeah.
So once the AGD engine's completely done and other people can start helping do the ports there, we potentially have another 150 to 170 games that'll come out for the CoCo 1, 2, 3, and Dragon.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Everybody likes more new stuff, don't
more games, right? So, and then here's the title screen for it too. It just looks really nice, and I've of the 2 screens that P mode 3 gives us, this one is definitely easier on the eyes because those brighter colors I just found were really harsh to look at, and they didn't offer a lot of contrast between themselves. The cyan, the purple, the orange, they just all didn't. They just.
There's very few games that actually fit. Skiing is one, I guess. But.
Yeah. So, and then the problem with this mode is that most people chose to use green as the background, which is the furthest from what an arcade game would really want, unless it was a game that took place in grass.
Like golf.
But like a space game with a green background just didn't feel right.
The green was color 0. It had no bits set, which is why they chose it. But there's really, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, and that's why I chose this mode for Cosmic Aliens, but I chose to use blue as a background because at least that's closer to, a spacey type color than green was.
Yeah. I think the other reason they chose green too, besides the color 0 from asking and stuff, is that the border color is forced to green, and maybe if you wanted to make it look continuous instead of a box.
Yeah. But it looks like a neat looking game here, so I'm gonna have to try to get my hands on it and take a look at it. Maybe I'll get past level 1 on that one.
You've been doing pretty good lately. You made it up to level 3 on.
Yeah.
3, so.
And here's again something I never would have imagined in my lifetime. Being as a guy, I never used OS 9. So I'm not your typical OS 9 user. I do appreciate what it does, but I use Windows. But there are people,
downgrade, sure.
Yeah, but we are now making a splash in the OS 9 group. So one of the some of the comments we got on both the Frank Hogg interview and the OS 9 interview. So the people liked the Frank Hogg interview. And so a couple people commented on that. So I want to say thank you guys. So Christopher Peralt and John Eng were some of the ones who had commented on the Frank Hogg interview, which led into another discussion because he was talking about that basic program that you were familiar with, Curtis, right? And which was called OmniBasic. And so our previous week's interviewee, which was Alan Bettiger, from current guy from OS 9. So he heard about it, and he was trying to revive it, and it's sounding like we got a whole bunch of comments in here, but it's sounding like now he's gotten a hold of the company, and there's the book, huh? And so they're gonna send him the source code. So this OmniBasic compiler, might become a thing again, at least on the OS 9 side. So that's kind of cool.
The OS 9 port of OmniBasic stopped at 1.43. I do remember that and talking to Mike Smith, the original developer. And this is when he went to doing Linux, Unix, and Windows. And you can see some screenshots on the back here of doing the same source code to generate for both platforms.
Okay.
So it had the full GUI and stuff in it. The version 2.2 added database support. So you had your menus and windows and pull downs and everything else. You could hook up graphics and sliders and all kinds of things to it. But it was quite a nice little compiler. It actually compiled to C and then used a C compiler native to whatever platform you were on to do the rest. Now, right before Mike died, he found out he wasn't getting any sales from the Unix side of things, just the Windows side, and he wanted it to be a commercial product. So he'd started rewriting it in assembly language as an assembly language compiler with the purpose of bringing it back out to Windows, but being much faster and much more modern. He was not having to worry about cross-platform, but that's when he passed away from a heart attack. So it just kind of died with him. Now it sounds like it's getting started again.
And that was something that kind of came up on our show, and it's now kind of making its way out into the world, and things are happening because that interview and those discussions took place. So that was kind of cool to see that.
For people who are familiar with Basic 09, it was based on the 68K version of Basic 09 originally, and he since expanded it. It's actually got extra commands that the Basic 09 68K never had. So I'd be very interested to see where Alan's going to take it.
Yeah, that's neat. So it's kind of cool that, while I'm not that familiar with OS 9, our show is now becoming a resource for people in the OS 9 community, including Mr. OS 9 himself, the guy who's running Microware. So who'da thunk it, right? So cool stuff. And this was a late entry into when I just woke up from my nap right before the show. I saw this picture, and I was really trying to wrap my brain around it. So Christopher Cromwell in our CoCo group was talking about how he was engineering a Color Computer 1 monitor, and I was really trying to see what the hell is going on here. So as I'm looking at these pictures here, what I realized is I'm thinking, man, how did he get this keyboard on a CoCo? That's a really cool keyboard. What's going on with this CoCo? And this is something that I don't think you've seen too much. I've heard people talking about repacks, where they've taken a CoCo and taken the guts out and put that in a different case. This is now hollowing out a CoCo and putting like a laptop in a CoCo case. And so he's running a Windows 10 laptop and monitor in a CoCo case. And so, stranger things have happened. So here's how he's kind of engineered his little monitor holding up stand thingy here. But yeah, it took me a minute to really process what was going on here. And I'm thinking, no, this is actually not a CoCo, but it could be, right? Now I guess you can run a CoCo emulator on this. So, so interesting. It's like a reverse repack, if you will, or whatever
there was a few reverse repacks back in the day, but not very often. Most of the time it was completely repacked either into a wooden box or into a PC tower case or whatever.
Neat. All right, so we've just been told we have a few more people who joined us, and I don't know if we put them to sleep or they're still here. Who else? Okay, Mark B has joined us, and somebody else was with us a few minutes ago. But hey, Mark B, how are you? Who are you? What's going on?
Hello, Mark Bosley, actually.
Oh, hey, is it Bosley, not Bosley? Bosley.
Yes.
Okay, I've been pronouncing your name wrong this whole time. Thank you.
That's okay. Everyone else does.
How are you?
Doing just fine. Found you guys a couple of months ago. It's getting real interesting.
And you keep coming back.
Yeah, I do keep coming back. I like the abuse.
There are other ways to spend your Saturdays, and you chose
I think that's
to
called
do this.
Self-abuse or something.
Yeah.
What's your history?
Well, I started with the color computers back in the 80s. I was a service tech for Tandy here in I'm based here out of Oklahoma City. We had the Business Product Service Center, and I was a tech for them back in 85 to 89, and working on everything from the Model 1 all the way up to the F3000s.
Huh. Did you know Richard Lorbieski back in the day?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
Doesn't ring a bell. There was only like 4 of us working in that office because we were separate from the sales center. We had our own little shop. Here in the Oklahoma City area, we had a fairly large users group back then. And I was pretty involved with that. And of course, it kind of died off. And I still have all the color computer stuff I had from back then. I brought it out every few years and fired it up and made sure it all still worked. And
so were you surprised? Were you surprised to see all of us? Were you surprised to see all of us doing things, making things, and software being made?
Yeah, a little bit actually. That there's still modern software being written for it, and that actually the hardware's updating. I see that the CoCo SDC is back in stock, so may just have to give me one of those. It's like what 9 of them left.
Wow. Supplies are limited. Yeah.
So, but one of the things I'm trying to do right now, and I kind of need to talk to Curtis about it, is I need to modify some device descriptors under OS 9, or actually Nitrous 09, to match the floppies I got, so I can start transferring some of the old stuff I have, up until either DriveWire or the SDC.
Okay. Yeah, that's fairly easy to do. So.
Yeah, I used to do it back in the day, but I've kind of forgotten how. I was trying to find a command reference for either debug, and then if I do look at the descriptor, the numbers I expect to find don't match up with what I'm actually finding. So, not sure where I'm going wrong there.
Okay, are you on our Discord group or?
No, but I think I see the link there on the, on the website or on the YouTube there.
Okay, if you join that, we've got an OS 9 group, plus we have the Nitrous 9 EOU group, and there's a lot of us there that can help you with that kind of stuff, like setting your descriptors, whether you want to do it temporarily just to get stuff off your floppies, or if you want to make it permanent because you're planning on running your floppies regularly, we can do it either way.
Okay, I got like 6 cases of those floppies I need to kind of transfer to.
Might want to make it a permanent setting then.
Yeah, a lot of them were like DS69 images from some of the from Hamfest and stuff like that. Attended back in the day and took, we'd sit up and take the pictures and print them out for people.
Yeah, because Ron's got a DS69 too, so he's quite familiar.
Yeah, I saw him having that. Mine, I think, is the original one because it doesn't say 69B.
Yeah, I had the original one and it broke. I sent it back to them and they made a B out of it. Send it back to me, or they sent me another one. I'm not sure which. Yeah,
last time I tried to use it when I tried to capture an image, the computer would barf. So I got to get back and check that out again. So,
yeah, hit us up on Discord there. There's a few of us that can answer your questions about setting descriptor stuff. I'll have to get some details on your specific drives and what version of OS 9/Nitrous 9 you're running, etc. So,
do you currently have your stuff set up?
Yeah, actually, it's behind me.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in seeing it.
Sure.
Show us your tandy.
And put some of those pictures on the Show Us Your Tandy Facebook group.
So, got that going there. I got the DriveWire running on a little laptop there. And some of my floppies. Got an 80 track, an old 501. Oh, in storage. Still got a whole pile
I saw an Enterprise.
Oh, yeah, my future son-in-law, he whipped that out last year. So still got a collection of old original software. Lots of stuff. Couple of 3s, got a CoCo 2, a couple of 1s.
Wow.
One I've been kind of parting out.
I see my keyboard.
Yeah. I don't even remember where I even acquired it at. Since I've lost all the screws.
Yep, Mark Data.
So,
do you have an
garage?
X-Pad?
I got boxes and boxes of magazines like Rainbows and Hot Cocos and all kinds of stuff like that.
Excellent.
I can see a new segment coming up called Mark's Garage.
Mark's Garage or Mark's Closet, at least, right? So
yeah. So, but yeah, I've always kind of kept it in mind. But I really hadn't done a whole lot with it in a lot of years. But the year ago, I fired it all up, got the hard drives all working. I've got a set of those Burke and Burke drives. And I got reset all that.
He's got a cat. He's got a cat in the background too, so you fit right in here. So yeah, it's right behind you on the windowsill.
Arbitrary cat. So gets pesky. Getting kind of close to dinner time.
And so the thing about the Burke and Burke, that was basically like an XT bus adapter, and it adapted the XT bus to the CoCo bus, and then you could plug in a 8-bit ISA hard drive thing, or
actually, the old MFM or RLE.
Let's see here. I actually got it right here. I was gonna read the manual of it. But yeah, sorry, I'm using my phone at the moment.
Yeah, that's okay.
So, yeah, but it's a small card with this one's got the clock chip on it.
Oh, the real-time clock.
Yeah.
Smartwatch.
The battery's like a standard 2025 or something like that, 2552.
So you've been with the CoCo for quite some time.
Oh yeah, since the mid '80s.
Yeah.
So one screw to pull out here. That's too many screws. But that's the control board of it. And in the closet I've got the XT controller card, plus you got some drives back there, box of cables.
Wow. Yeah, I find this still, even now, hearing about this now, it kind of makes my head explode thinking that people were doing real things with their CoCo with hard drives and controllers and operating systems, because just for me, it was always kind of just an entertainment thing. I played games on it, I programmed with it, I had fun with it, but I never imagined doing like real computery things on my CoCo, just because my head wasn't there, But by the time I got a Tandy 1000, I was using DOS. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool, and I just moved there. But had I stayed on the CoCo long enough, I'm just wondering if I would have graduated to things like hard drives and formatting these crazy disks and all these kind of stuff you guys did. I completely leapfrogged over all of that. So
you would have become David Ladd.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just hard to imagine. I guess it was a necessary evil back then. That was the only way to get a hard drive, was to adapt it to use this XT or AT, bus thing. But
well, we had hard drives even before that. I mean, the first hard drives for the CoCo came out in like 83, 84 for the CoCo 1 and 2.
And how did they plug in?
Like SASE or some very esoteric things. The Burke and Burke was the first one that actually made it cheap enough to afford, because XT drives are produced in bulk.
Actually, I have one of those interfaces.
Yeah, I do too.
Maybe pull it out and show it to you guys right here. Found it. Flip this around.
Has like a 50-pin bus on it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the original one. And I think they adapted like a floppy controller and just had the SCSI. And it plugged into the primary hard drive they sold for like the Model 3, 4, 6000.
Yeah, those $multi-thousand drives.
Yes.
Yeah.
$1 billion. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was the 5-inch drive.
Cool key that locks.
Yeah. Steve Bjork, I believe you had some of those originally doing some of your development for the CoCo 1 and 2, didn't you? Or is Steve still around?
Crickets.
He's here.
Might be away from the.
And there's
I seem to recall he had one of the 15 or two of the 15 meg drives that Radio Shack did back then with this controller.
Yeah, there's Steve.
There we go. No, I had a 5 meg drive, and it was roughly about $2,500. And just a comment that Ron was saying about was every CoCo user's dream to have hard drive. Trust me, at $2,500, it was not their dream. It would have been a nightmare.
I remember at Rainbow Fest, Bill went down there and he wanted to get a hard drive, and so did I. I ended up getting the Birkenberg. And Bill went and he went to the Radio Shack booth first, and he saw that particular controller. Then he bought it. Then he found out it only worked with the Tandy primary drives, and you needed a separate controller card for that too. He started looking at the price of that. He went and traded it back on the next day on Sunday, and then went and bought a Birkenberg too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember the 8-inch drives that Tandy used to sell. The things were in like a 2-foot wide case. The platters in those things were belt driven. You turn it on, it sounded like a jet engine winding up.
Those for the Model 2, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So how long have you been back in it, Mark?
Well, I dabbled, like I said, I dabbled in it a little bit over the years just to make sure everything still worked. But here just recently, really upon finding your group, has really got me interested to take it out and leave it on the desk.
You talking about the Facebook group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Found you guys on Facebook a few months ago.
Excellent. Cool.
So built my, first thing I had to tackle was the monitor situation. So I actually went and built me the equivalent of the switcheroo.
Oh, okay. So an RGB to something else.
Yeah, well, to SCART.
Okay, you did the full RGB to SCART thing. Okay.
Yeah, RGB to SCART, and really built it exactly like the switcheroo. I did a little different though. Instead of using the USB adapter, I actually just tap off the power supply of the SCART to HDMI adapter.
Oh, okay.
So I pulled the 5 volts from there.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's virtually the same, and it wasn't very really all that hard to do. But really, for someone who doesn't have any building skills, buying it from and I'm sorry, I forget the name from the BizMan.
CoCoMan.biz.
That's a pretty good way to do it.
Jason, yeah, Jason Reichert. Yep.
That's cool. Saves all the construction because it was challenging finding a SCART connector.
So where do you live?
I'm in the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma area.
Oh, okay. Did you have a color computer club when you were first in it back in the day?
Yeah, we did, and for a few years I was actually editor of the big magazine newsletter we had.
Mm-hmm.
So I had actually one of the big daisy wheel printers that you got to put on a slab of concrete before, or else it'll shake your desk apart.
Did you make the newsletters on the CoCo?
Yes, actually, we did all the editing on the CoCo and printed out. We had a guy that worked in a print shop, so he could make plates. And we went to another guy's house, thaw his press out with a hairdryer, and run the newsletter.
What software was it you were using?
Color script shit.
No, I'm thinking going back and looking at my discs here, I see I had like Telewriter 64, which was probably the main one we used.
Did you use CoCo Max or anything for graphic stuff?
I have it, and it works, but I got to get back into it because I want to transfer a lot of those images to, to either DriveWire or SEC and see about maybe uploading those to the archive.
Mm-hmm.
Did the CoCo have like a WYSIWYG desktop publishing tool where you could drag and drop graphics and mix them with text?
Max 10.
Yeah, on the CoCo 3 only for full blown.
Yeah.
Home publisher if you want to run dogs slow.
I think what we did is print out in columns and then just on a light table cut and paste.
Mm.
The old way, and then not on the publisher. I think we just used the CoCo to actually edit and print out the articles.
Okay, cool.
So, but
still did some manual page layout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. That's real neat. Well, we're glad you joined us. And feel free to hang out.
he's a lot like my situation, having the stuff for years and struggling trying to use it and stuff, and always looking to the next thing coming out for it, and then finding these guys here was pretty cool, because then there's all this new stuff that you can spend money on, and
shut up and take my money. Yeah.
SDC will be I think the next thing to get.
It's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I saw. I just checked earlier, and I saw he's got some back in stock. He got out of stock from the last time somebody mentioned it on the channel.
You're gonna go to CoCo Fest or Tandy Assembly?
That CoCo Fest has been on the bucket list for 40 years.
Did you ever go to one?
No, I've never had the funds for that.
Yeah. Well,
but,
you're in Oklahoma, you said, so you're kind of mid.
Yeah, so if one's in Dallas, I can certainly.
Well, you're not that far from Chicago. You're closer to Chicago than I am, right?
I don't know where you're.
I'm in Florida. I'm in South Florida. I got to get all the way through this long penis-shaped state before I can get out into anywhere else. So,
that far I'd probably fly up there.
Yeah.
I was real tempted to do Tandy Assembly, but that would have been 8 hours in the car, I think, to get up there.
Yeah, so you're different because mine's twice that. So because I got to get out of Florida, right? So once you get into the United States, then it's easier to get anywhere. But I'm south of the United States. I'm down in Florida. So,
I vacationed in the Keys a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like my advice to anybody: if you're on the fence about going to CoCo Fest, just go. And I know it costs money, but say if and I get it. If somebody's like. If you have a fixed income and you literally have financial things that prevent you from being able to make that that's understandable. But if you've got a job and you've got a way to save money or do some side projects and get some extra money, my advice would be make it a plan to go at least once. It's a really cool experience. A lot of us have been there, and we were friends before we met in person, and we got to hang out in person, and it's a great weekend. So
and besides, it's always the last one.
Yeah, because literally you never know. I mean, those people in Glenside, they're not getting any younger. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's
yeah.
They're going to have a big sign-in for a couple days, and then
pretty soon they're going to have to bring in like a psychic medium to host our CoCo Fest. So. Cool. Well, we're glad to have you here. We got somebody else new to the program. Robert, how are you, Robert?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So what's going on with you? What's your life story? No pressure.
Where do you live?
South Dakota.
Are you a current CoCo owner?
Yeah, I have quite a few different CoCo TSR radios. Yeah.
Excellent.
There's quite a delay on the screen.
Yeah,
I have let's see, I do a lot on the MC10. I have a Color Computer 3 that I hooked up recently with an SD card drive solution.
Okay. Cool. CoCo SDC for the win.
Now, have you always been into these since the heyday when they were being manufactured, or did you get into it later as part of retro computing?
The first computer I ever used was a PET my uncle had. He let me type on it, and I was addicted after I wrote print hello, And I used to go over to his house and type in these probably like 4K programs or something out of magazines. And then later, I actually got my own. I think it was the first thing I ever got was an MC10, and then later in those days, like 1982, it was pretty much your choice. There was like price wars, not to mention you could always find what do they call those ones, remanufactured or something.
Okay.
To get a price break. My CoCo, the first CoCo I got, cost me. I remember I paid $214 for it. Color Computer 3. I think it was right around 1982. And I remember I used to pack that thing up every week and drive it on my bicycle over to my aunt's house, and I'd write like a 10-line graphic program, and then on the color computer, if you draw a bunch of graphical lines in different colors and then hit paint, if you only use 2 colors, it'll sit there and kind of like meander through, slowly fill the whole thing in, and then you can draw more lines and then do it again. So we had a lot of fun doing that.
Neat. Cool stuff. So what are you playing with now? What's your go-to thing when you want to beat on an old machine?
I was doing a lot with the MC10. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I did the full screen project for the MC10 and the MC10 graphics tool. And then
I have not heard of those, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what those are?
The full screen project is where back in that 1982 I had this, because if you ever had an MC10, you could like poke 49151 comma like 100 and it would go into a graphics screen, and it was totally useless because you couldn't do anything with it, and it was so tempting to be able to do something with it. So I think it was back in about 2005 I joined up with the Yahoo MC10 Club, and by learning from them and piecing together assembly language, I eventually got a full screen project running. See, and you ask yourself why, because the system files are stored on the screen, but there's a certain screen. It's actually the most useless screen on the MC10. There's enough screen memory to fit a screen right between it all, and so that's what I wrote. And then with varying degrees of success at first, and then eventually that MCX came out, and I thought, oh, I got to do it on that. So I did it on that for a completely full screen. There's a ROM that somebody decided to rewrite for the MC10 back, I think it was in the 80s. What they did is they just copied the whole ROM and then patched all the addresses. But that uses another, I think that ROM is 8K. So then if you got 20K, you're using 8 more K. You have, I think it's like 3K for the screen. So you got like 4 or 5K left to program with by the time you're done. Not to mention my little full screen project that fits on top of that.
And what did that do? That added a graphical font to it or something, or a full screen graphics? Like it gave you a full screen of high res graphics. I'm not following what you mean by full screen.
I can show you if you. Can you put an app? Can I put an app on here?
You should be able to screen share or something.
How do I do that?
There should be a little sharing button somewhere on Zoom.
In the bottom.
The bottom of the screen.
Once you move your mouse, it should pop up the menu if you're in full screen.
Let's see.
Hover over the bottom of your
so
screen.
what was one of the differences in the MC10? Like it didn't use it was something where you couldn't get as much graphics memory out of it, right? I don't remember all the technical reasons why though.
Yeah, basically the 4K that it came with was the only thing that was accessible for the VDG. So if you got your 16K memory expansion, you couldn't use any of that for the graphics.
Is it pin video?
No, there should be a little green share button, and you could share screen or share app or something like that.
Oh, I see it.
There's invite, participants, share, chat.
Oh, and then it says screen. If I click screen, it takes my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't have any offensive website open or anything like that. So.
Is that working?
Yeah. Yep. I see it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we see your browser right now.
Man, I got a ton of folders, though, but what a mess. Okay, so let me see. Where am I?
No different than mine.
I
you
hate
got
to see
empty
what your
space in
house
the right
looks like
zone.
after looking at your desktop.
Oh, you see what I do is I take all those folders and I condense them into one folder called desktop, and I put a date on it, and then I can start over again, and it just goes on like that forever. See, that way, instead of deleting them all, you go back, you try to find something you had, and you're like, what did I do with that program?
FSP, full screen program.
Yeah, full screen project. Okay.
All I can say is you got to learn to throw away some things.
True. First, I got to find the.
That is the problem.
Matt.
So were you challenged by
here it
the
is.
limited space you had to program with?
It wasn't. No, because with the MCX, you get the whole. You got a whole lot of space.
Okay, I have an MCX for my MC10, and I've never even taken it out of the box yet. So.
Oh, and I just made it.
So is this a pretty good emulator here? This MC10 emulator?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a resource hog, but.
Oh, the MC10 was a powerful machine.
You have seen the video where it's on. Never mind.
The insulting videos of the MC10.
And James Diffendaffers' hands, the MC10 is a powerful, highly optimized machine. Yeah, well, while you're browsing with it, why don't you try to explain it to us? Like, what did it do?
So what it does is it takes the graphic screen, and I try to make it into a.
You make a high-res text screen?
Yeah, with text. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
And there it is. Yeah, I know where one is.
And what was the display? Like, how many characters wide by how many tall did you get? And was it like 40 characters, 54 characters, or?
The highest I did was 64.
Okay.
But it's
64
using
columns?
Yeah.
You can do 64 columns on it on the 256 by 192 mode. You just can't display anything unique on the bottom third of the screen. It'll be a mirror.
You just ran out of memory, huh? Okay. Okay, so you've basically hijacked the basic fonts and made them graphical.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
That's one thing.
Right.
That's what I call the full screen project. This is on the MCX. It's a little funner on the other one. The other one is what I call solo, and the challenge is getting rid of all the system. You have to position all the system stuff on the fly would be pretty difficult. Which I started to do that, but that's quite the challenge. So it just started getting bigger and bigger. So that's a work in progress.
So I'd imagine you're familiar with Jim Gary, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find a file here. I'll show you. I think it's under QuickType. Oh, Aerosol. Oh, no, that one. Conversion in process there.
Maybe you could use your MC10 to help you organize your desktop.
Yeah.
And for the folks who will be listening to this later, on the podcast. You would not believe what's on the screen right now.
So this isn't the one I was looking for, but
this is an entire program that you're scrolling through in a graphics font. Yeah, no, it looks cool. And so this is basically just the basic language, just looking at these screens. Now, did this support a lowercase character set as well, or was it all just all caps?
I had, let's see. Yeah, it does.
Okay, you got little letters too.
So we'll go.
No, besides hijacking the text mode here so that you're doing it on a graphics screen, did you also add actual graphics commands like line and point and circle and stuff?
Actually, the MCX does that already.
Okay, so you just added on to what they had already added.
Yeah, it makes it kind of cool because you can do graphics in the text in the same screen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and the fact that you're in, we'll call it native mode of the basic command prompt, but it's now been made graphical. That's kind of neat. Yeah, there were things like this for the color computer too that would kind of hijack basic and make it graphical. And
is color key command one of them? Do you remember that?
I don't remember what they were called. I remember using some though. I remember doing stuff like
there was a bunch
split
of
screen. There was some where you could do like a split screen and do like a Sands of Egypt type game where you had graphics on top and scrolling text in the bottom half and stuff. And yeah.
So I also was working on I also did a Doctor Who low res that I entered into some contest, and I won a $50 what's that SD card to Model 4. Model 3, Model 4. I think it's called Hans. They sent me one of those.
Oh, neat.
They made a new category in the contest because they had a high, the Model 4 high res that the guy plays with Doctor Who. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the video. They made
that's that video I posted over in the MC10 area over on Discord.
Yeah.
If Stevie ever darkened the doorstep of the MC10 area.
Oh, okay. I might step over to the
dark
side.
You had like a semi-graphics animation of the Doctor Who Tom Baker intro.
Oh, okay.
It was like somebody had done a Model 1 version or something, and you did an equivalent type of thing.
So you're streaming. You're able to do like lo-fi video streaming.
Me?
Is that what your tool did? Did it do video streaming?
Hold on a second. What's that?
Did it do videos? Was it like a video streaming thing?
For
your MC10 thing, your Doctor Who thing? Did it play a video?
Oh clip? No! What it does is it was a long tedious process. I took video and took certain images and used a converter to convert them to that super low res screen for the color computer in the MC10.
Yeah, semi-graphics for SG4.
The semi-graphics, yeah. I took a more kind of like made a mosaic builder that turned them in best as it could to. I can show you.
I don't know if we have that much time.
It's the Doctor Who intro, and he did a series like a snapshots.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he had sound playing with what you use the sound command.
This is really what I wanted to show you today. It's called Doctor. I call it Wolf Whistle because I was playing around with the sound in it. And this is not the original, but I can stop this if it sounds terrible.
I don't even know if we're going to be able to hear it, but go ahead and do it. I don't know if you're sharing sound.
Let me test the sound then. Oops, I didn't even spell that right. Did you hear that?
No, that's good. Just run it without the sound. Let's just take a look at it though, because that sound might come through. It might mess with the bandwidth anyway. So,
yeah. Okay, I'll run this though. No, I won't. Why not? Well, it's strange. It's just doing that because I'm trying to do it.
But you can pull up the Doctor Who video from the Discord group, Steve, if you want to.
Okay, I need him to stop screen sharing then in order to do that.
Okay.
Well, go ahead and go try it one more time, and then we'll see it. And if it doesn't work, we'll pull it up because we've got it in Discord, I think. So.
Well, I posted the old one, the original music that he had.
Oh, look at that. Ooh. Yeah, that's cool. You got the TARDIS coming through here. Neat.
It
cool.
just repeats the what do I hit?
Yeah.
Oh, stop share. There you go.
No, that's cool though. That's really cool. It's nice to see the MC10 get some love. Cool. So, have you watched our show before, Robert?
Yeah, I watched about 4 of them over the past month or 2.
All right. Well, cool. We appreciate you watching, and thanks for being here, spreading the cheer, spreading the spirit. All right. How about we do this? We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and then I don't know if we have a core dump or other things to talk about, but we'll do some more here in just a minute. So thank you all for being here, and thank you those of you who are still watching at home. So we'll be back here in just a minute, folks.
Hi, this is John Linville. And Neil Blanchard. We are the CoCo crew. I hope you're enjoying watching Stevie Stroh play video games, especially the CoCo games. And when you're done with that, check out our podcast at CoCoCrew.org.
What's going on, everybody? Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and if you're a fan of vintage computing and retro gaming, then you're going to love our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. There you will find custom designs by Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. You can get I'm a Coconut, CoCoTALK, and other cool video game images on a t-shirt, coffee mug, or mouse pad. So if you love retro, then head on over to the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com today. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you.
At Gsoft, we make games for the TRS-80 color computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment cost, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
I'm trying to click back. It's not clicking back. All right, we're clicking back. All right. We are back. And James, you posted a video now comparing the CoCo 3 to the MC10 ROM. Is that what you're showing us off here, James Diffendeffer?
Yep. You were making a crack about speed.
Yep. Well, there's also been a lot of sidebar conversations, which we haven't been able to stay completely on top of. But let's say hi to Chris Cromwell out there. Hey, Chris Cromwell, how are you? And so there's been a whole nother there's been like a show within the show going on here in the chat, and just can't quite stay up on top of everything.
We had a question also from the chat.
Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, it was about probably 45 minutes, an hour ago. I guess it's Kenai Andrews.
Yeah.
He was wondering about Arkanoid for CoCo when it came out. Was one Revenge of Doe? Was it in arcades? Were there any talks or plans with was it Tato to release Arkanoid 2 for the CoCo? That'd be for Steve. Probably. Sounds like a Steve Bjork question.
Steve, did you hear the question? Steve may have stepped away. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'd never go. Here he goes. He's back. Steve, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, the question was there plans to release the Arkanoid sequel, the arcade one that was Revenge of Doe? Was there plans to do that on the color computer or not?
No. Arkanoid was the last game I did for him, and with the way changes were happening in Tandy, there's just no way we could do inexpensive cartridges anymore because the liability insurance, they wanted the developers to carry for Tandy.
Okay.
Yep. Basically, it doubled the cost, and they weren't willing to double the royalties or double the charge on the cartridge to the consumer. So it pretty much was ending all the software.
Yeah.
Gone.
There was also some topics about, have we mentioned Lonnie Falk, or we talked about the rainbow, so there was a little bit of a sidebar discussion going on about the rainbow, and I think the closest thing that we've got to the rainbow right now is Ron Delvaux did some mock-up covers for it. I think you even started doing an issue at one point in time, didn't you, Ron? You had like a 20-page issue of the rainbow that you were working on.
Yeah, it just got to be too much, and the file was huge, and I didn't get much help from anyone else, so I just stopped.
Okay.
But I do have it still.
It's actually on the TRS-80 color computer Facebook in the files.
Okay.
Actually posted minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, at the time that the discussion had come up, and there was like a day where it was a big hot topic, and everybody was all excited about, hey, rainbow this and rainbow that, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, and I went as far as just grab the domain name and threw up a WordPress site and said, hey, if you guys want to mess around with something, this could be a starting place to do it. But I was also like, whoever's going to do it, somebody else needs to do it. I'm working on CoCoTALK. I'm working on YouTube. I'm doing these other things. So I have no time to invest in it, but I at least threw out an ability, and it gained a little traction. A few people wrote a little article, here's a little story about me. Here's my memories of the color computer. I think Barry Nelson wrote an article on how to do some type of hardware thing to load software. So there was a few things on there, but it just like anything else, if you don't add to it, it's never going to grow, right? If you don't water the plant, it's not going to grow. So it just didn't take off, and after a year, I just decided not to review the domain name. So I had like the rainbow.online was a placeholder, and I figured, somebody wants to try it. But to be fair, I didn't go out of my way to promote the fact that it existed either and remind people about it. It was just kind of there, and it was like take it or leave it, and they left it. So I think the idea of a modern rainbow would be a great idea, but I think the logistics of doing it and having the people and the time and the talent and the energy that's needed to devote to doing it properly, it's going to become at least a part-time job for those involved. And who's got the time to commit to it?
But the time is the biggest issue, I think. I mean, we have lots of people who could write articles and stuff and have the know-how to do so, but to try to do something where you're committing to doing an issue every so often. I mean, if we're doing software and hardware projects, you can take your time. If you suddenly get, real life interfering and you take 6 months, oh, well, it took 6 months. But a magazine, you're kind of dedicating yourself to, I want to have an issue out every 2 months, every 3 months type thing. And that,
right.
For a hobby, that's a bit more difficult.
You'd have to have a deep bench so that you could have somebody contribute an article every 3 months or every 4 months.
Well, even if you did it as if you did it once a year, like the CoCo year-end review, here's everything that happened in the year of the CoCo. It could be done, but it's really part of it is talent. You need to have people who know how to do this and make it look well. Ron Delvaux would be one of them. You need the graphical design talent, the layout talent, and then there is the content component. Luckily, the content would almost write itself. We could just go through Facebook and just look at things that happened in the year. But yeah, it's again, it was talked about. It's a great idea. I would still like to see something like that happen, but it's really dedicating the resources to it. Even if you did it semi-annually or even annually, it's still resources and talent and time. And
my personal opinion is that CoCoTALK and the CoCo crew are kind of video and audio versions of that anyway. We're already discussing the latest news where we have links to articles if you have to read something more in depth.
Yeah,
and it's much more time. It's much easier to produce. Maybe, well, you might argue that, but it's a lot easier to produce than trying to do in a whole printed magazine where you're stuff together.
Because honestly, by the time anything's by the time something's on paper, by the time the ink dries, the information's outdated. You know.
Whereas this is live and you're getting updates every week. So to me, we've just progressed to a video magazine format as opposed to a.
I've never thought of it that way. Yeah, I'll take that.
That's why he's here.
But from it's nice to have something you can actually look at. It's like the Apple people have a quarterly publication called Juiced GS.
Apple's got it. If it was an e-zine. And it's just done in PDF format. And people could choose to print it themselves if they wanted to. It's just
and we have had those before. I mean, Mary did one for how many did she get through? About 7 or 8?
The Coco
One of them
Nuts.
included an interview with Steve, for example.
Yeah.
But it
So-
takes a lot of commitment, and you continuously commit the time to it, and
Yeah.
you can't just do it off the cuff like we're doing here. Like, Steve, both you and I, on occasion, don't have time to look at stories much, and we just kind of wing it, the day of.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're doing a magazine, no, you can't do that. You got to commit to it, and you got to follow up on people. Like, where's your article? And it's a lot more work, to be honest.
Very true.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question, and by all means, I would still like to see it. So I am not going to try to discourage somebody from wanting to make that a reality. I would support that. I would buy it if it was a paid thing, and as long as the quality was there. I would support it financially. I was obviously supported by promoting it and encouraging people to support it too. But I was very clear to say, hey, I'll pay for the domain name and I'll host a site, but somebody else has got to run this because I just can't. I didn't even try to pretend to fool myself to think I'd have time to work on that, and I wouldn't. And that's not my strong suit, anyways.
It might be cool to make a 1 year magazine, or like in 2 years have something put together, and then it kind of covers an era of the time since we've had the SDC and the comeback, and a story like that, or
yeah.
I seem to recall that was one of the proposals back when we first started talking about this too, wasn't it? I think Bruce had
right.
doing it once a year.
But that's where there's certain topics where it's a hot discussion item, but it might never become a thing. When it comes to the people who are hardware gurus, the guys who design things and make things, they can come up with an idea and turn that into reality. When it comes to software, our software gurus can do that. But when it comes to something like this, it's a different territory, and we don't know. I don't know. We have publication gurus that do this every day that have the skills to turn the idea into a reality. But I'd love to see it happen.
Sometimes it comes down to money,
Right. But to think that this project would be a for-profit thing, you're never going to sell more than a couple hundred copies, and it's so it has to be a labor of love, like just about anything else.
Yeah.
But it's just really. Who's got the time? Other than Ron
the labor
Delvaux.
part that's the problem, not the love part.
If Ron Delvaux spent half the time he spent on Facebook working on it, it'd be done already.
Don't forget, I'm also an amateur astronomer. So
that's right.
Some of the time I'm out doing stuff with my scopes and taking pictures. It's tough being retired.
Yeah.
You have no time for anything anymore.
No. And then I'm supposed to have a family.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but that would be cool, and I would definitely encourage somebody who has the time and the talent and the resources to attempt that project. And maybe that's what we have with that e-zine, that, it's not a super in-depth publication, but we now have a periodical that will be a little like the T&D thing. We have a little thing to read and some software to go with it. So that might be a start from humble beginnings, right?
I would kind of like to, either do original artwork and, give it to him to publish, because I think some people enjoy having a new graphic or something to show on their computer.
Yeah. And
if you go to my Ron's Garage, I'll do stuff. I do a lot with pictures, and I post pictures like I'm going to come up with something for Christmas. I did something for Thanksgiving, and every holiday you'd like to, post something up maybe, or play with it. But
hey, Stevie, did you want to scroll through the one PDF that we have? It's on Facebook. I can send you the link.
Yeah, put the link in there. We'll take a look at it. And in the meantime, while you're doing that, I will pull up this video here where James Diffendaffer is showing how powerful and speedy the MC10 is compared to the CoCo 3 running at high speed. So while you're finding that link, here's James's video offering right now. CoCo 3 high speed, MC10 new ROM.
Already posted in the chat here.
All right, here we go. And so the CoCo 3 right now, CoCo 3 is a little bit faster, running at high speed. but the MC10 is not far behind. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not quite neck and neck. Who is going to win this race? Can he go all the way? Right now, the CoCo 3 is still out in front by just a little bit, but the MC10 is holding its own. It is a contender. This could be anybody's race here as we continue. This is looking very much like James Diffendaffer's profile picture at this point. And we're almost done. Yeah, so the MC10 is not far behind the CoCo 3 running at high speed. So that says something, right? And here we go. Here we go. Look at him go. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never seen pixels get plastered faster in my life. And wake me up when this is done. Here we go. Yeah, the MC10's holding its own pretty good here. Here we go. Here we go. It's only, it's like a step behind. Boom.
It's a multiply instruction in the 6803.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Good job, James. All right, so where did you post the link, Mark? Did you post it in Discord? Zoom chat? All right. So I got to look all over the place. Find crap here. All right. So this one here that you just posted, we are looking at what?
I wouldn't check on. Don't put it in. Don't put your password in.
No, I'm not going to do that. But why is it even asking me for that? Look at, what is this? Mark Overholzer to everyone. PDF. I don't know what's going on there. All right. Whatever link you just had, let me just see if I can find it in the Facebook group.
Yeah, just search through the files. Go back about 5 pages.
Okay, here it is. It's the first link right here. Oh, for the love of Pete. This is like watching paint dry here, trying to pull up a link here. All right, here we go. So here is the table of contents. Okay. Nope. Retro Rick's Painfully Generic Disc Magazine. Is this one we're talking about here?
No.
What are we talking about then?
Search for Rainbow Magazine all.
Oh, search for the Rainbow Magazine in the CoCo group. All right. The podcast folks are really enjoying this one right now as they listen to this. For those of you listening next week, this is me typing out Rainbow Magazine as I look for I don't know. I'm having a hard time here. Okay, I don't know. We're moving on. Okay, can't find it, but we're moving on. We'll find it. If you're really that interested, you'll look for it on the Facebook group. Was this the one that Ron posted, his PDF file? That had the markup? Yeah. Okay. Yes. I don't know, but I'm going to shoot myself if I have to do this any longer. All right, cool. It's out there. You'll find it. It does look good. Ron did a really good job putting it together, and it does show what could be done. And I would love somebody to take up that mantle. But yeah, now that was a cool demo that James showed us too. All right, so what else do we want to talk about here today, boys and girls? I wanted to make sure we were talking about the whole vibe of feeling good about stuff, and up until a few minutes ago, I was feeling really good about this show. I think my opinion has changed now, but we need to get Grant back on here to host because...
I can take over from here.
Yeah, okay, let's let Curtis take over. So yeah, good show today, guys, right? Feeling good. We've had some new people in the audience, some new people on the panel. That's always good. This show is the cross section. That is the community. So we like having people on. We like having people with their discussions. So what have we not?
If you want to get back to the holiday cheer theme, I mean, the thing I like about this particular holiday is we've got so many new projects on the go, software and hardware. There's a whole ton of games being developed. There's operating system updates, there's hardware being developed, and it's just this is the most alive the community's been. And then we've been saying this every year the last couple of years, but it seems to be accelerating, if anything.
It's full. Yeah. The other thing I did want to mention, which I thought I had queued up, but the CoCo Crew Roundtable, which is that's today at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to join that, you can search for this in the CoCo Crew Facebook group. And so this will be a Blue Jeans recording. So it's similar to what we're on here with Zoom. So Blue Jeans is what they use. It's a video conferencing service that they use to record the CoCo Crew podcast. And they are inviting members of the community to be part of the discussion and talk about the state of the CoCo community. And you will be.
And John was mentioning that they are probably going to be streaming it on Facebook. So if you can't attend as an actual person to participate in the call, you should still be able to watch and hear it.
So that'd be almost like having a CoCo Talk After Dark tonight, or at least the CoCo Crew After Dark anyway. So good times, good times. What else? What else have we not mentioned? Did we have a core dump to do?
Nick? Oh, he's falling asleep pretty
Somebody wake up Nick, yeah.
No, I didn't have anything planned, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think we're going on to 3.5 hours, so.
All right, listen, Grant has the bar so high that, I'm never going to be able to reach that level. So this is not the Grant Leedy show today, folks. You're stuck with me. But we've had a great turnout in the live audience. A lot of people watching and corresponding.
Some new faces on the show.
Yeah, Robert Sieg. Did I pronounce your name right, Robert? Sieg. And Mark is Bosley and not Bosley, right? And Ken Reichert's been here from the beginning, and so has Tim Franklin and Salvador Garcia and Chris Cromwell. Chad's been here. Nick Marotta, Fizz Cannon was by earlier. Davey Mitchell, our friend from across the pond, was here. Who else? All kinds of people here.
Don't forget Ben Drake's our interview for both the VR.
Ben Drake, our interview. I haven't even got to the panel yet. I'm just going over who's in the live chat. But yes, thank you for reminding me. Ken Reichert, Nick Marotta, and Kenai Andrews. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm not sure if it's Kenai or Kenai, or and Chris Cromwell. A lot of people in the live chat. So yeah, some new names and faces in the live chat. And for those of you still awake in the panel, we have from Mexico, we have L. Curtis Boyle, our Spaniard, and we have Mark D. Overholzer, version D of Mark Overholzer. Looking forward to Mark E. Overholzer. I hope there's going to be some new features in that rev. We've got Ron Delvaux with us, all the way from Arizona. Mark Bosley, right?
Yes.
Bosley, not Bosley. We have Steve Bjork was with us and still is with us, and Nick Marentes and Brian. Is it Weisler or Weasler? Is it like?
It's Weisler.
Weisler.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Weisler.
The I is silent. Yep.
Weisler, and nailed it. Kenai. Okay. And James Diffendaffer, the guy who can make the MC10 do things it wasn't even born to do. What the MC10 can dream, James Diffendaffer can do. And very special guest, Ben Drakes, has been with us. Thank you for being here, Ben. We appreciate having you. Thanks for hanging out the whole time. Hope we didn't put you to sleep. And you're welcome back anytime. And we definitely look forward to seeing future postings of other retro conversions you do. I think that's a really cool thing. Kenai has been here. Chris Cromwell says, I just joined Discord. That's where all the cool kids hang out, is Discord. And just remember, what happens on Discord stays in Discord. It's kind of like Vegas. A lot of things are said. So don't go repeating everything you hear there. And what else? Not a bad show, right? It's not as good as last week, but at least we had Ben. We had Ben here, so the first half was good. Started off strong, and all went downhill quickly after that. So hopefully next week Grant Leedy will be back to save the sinking ship. So, no, but I appreciate you guys being here. This is my favorite part of the week. And what else? Anything? Closing thoughts? Parting thoughts? Anyone?
I have the rainbow up if you want to see.
Oh,
it.
you do? Where you have a link to it, or you want to screen share it?
I can screen share it.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay, let's see. I have two. Where's this one here? Okay.
Is it in a folder within a folder within a folder in your desktop by any chance?
No,
okay.
I have it on,
there we
on
go.
Another screen. Where away.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, we see it. No, yeah, this is great, and this is
How do
where
I do it?
This is where Ron's skills come in handy. Ron's a very good graphic guy.
You wouldn't believe. Yeah, you would think this is a real magazine.
F11.
Together.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Is it coming out?
Now we see something else. That's midget porn. I'm not sure what you're doing there with
that,
but
oh no, is it there or not?
No, you minimized
Nah.
it. I see DriveWire in the background. DriveWire,
So you did-
TTL, TTL. I'm looking at a DriveWire screen.
I had it on the right page before. Oh man.
We just while we're doing that, we just got a question from Giuseppe. Hey guys, with the new hardware mods like CoCo VGA, CoCo Mem Jr., etc., could a CoCo 2 theoretically run the CoCo 3 software? And I believe the short answer is it's the gimme that makes the CoCo 3. So
super extended basic. Gimme.
Yeah, not quite. You can do some of the things, like for example, there's a Nitrous 9 level 2, which is kind of like CoCo 3 memory model with the move board, etc., that you can run, but it's still running the older modes or the CoCo VJ. You get some enhanced modes, but yeah, the gimme itself has the extra graphics modes and the new RQs and everything else, and that's not available for the CoCo 2 at this point.
All right, here it is.
Okay, so here's the one that Ron Delvaux had created for us. This was probably going back last year, right, when this topic first came. Under the Rainbows, the video talk show. Yeah. Yeah, so he started this whole thing here. Review of the CoCo PSG, review of Tandy Assembly. Here's Ron's own little print number -2 column here. I love this one. I remember having this one, yeah. We remember the CoCo cat. Here's a full page ad for I'm a Coconut and CoCoTALK, and so I forgot how much that cost me, but yeah, I'm still trying to recoup those losses.
Yeah, Rainbow's ad rates were seriously high.
You did write a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Was not a wise use of your money, yes.
Yes. Yeah, some pictures from the first ever Tandy assembly. That was looking good. Good job here, Ron.
I want you to know those photos. I took Stevie. He walked around with his cell phone and like streamed video. I captured the videos and took still shots of the various frames.
Ah, neat. And you sent those to Ron to use for this. So
yes.
Community in action here. Rick Adams and 2 displays. That's before the Wallaby cable was made a thing. Who was speaking at Tandy Assembly? That's great. Yeah. Good jobs there. Multi-pack interface.
It's a little slow scrolling.
That's okay. It's good. It gives us time to soak it in. Yeah. Warning. We'll damage the gimme chip in the CoCo 3. Yeah, right. Here's our different colors and shades of multi-pack.
Yeah. Just something to fill pages.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a great mock-up. A great starter magazine, you know. The CoCo SDC, super duper computer.
Yeah, that's what it looks like in case you guys haven't seen one.
Yeah. From the mind of Ron Delvaux came the reimagined Rainbow. It replaces thousands of floppies. Yeah, Color Computer Archive. Dragon MMC has been released.
Yeah, so that's a controller for the floppy.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's an SDC for the Dragon.
Yeah. CoCo Crew Podcast, full page ad.
Yeah.
Look at that. Ads weren't cheap in the Rainbow. CoCo TV on Roku, which we're now on.
Roger Taylor's, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
There's imacoconut.com. Yeah. Look at that. CoCo PSG review. Is that the one by Mark Overholzer?
Yes.
Yeah, Mark D. Overholzer. Rev D of Mark Overholzer wrote that article there.
Hey, I did my part.
OS 9, its new big brother, Nitrous 9, on Facebook.
And Bill and I are working on that. So
yeah. Who can upgrade my CoCo from 128 to 512? Cloud 9. There you go.
This is my little contraption for.
Okay. So this was Sockmaster, an interview with John Kowalski.
Yep, he's the one that did that bouncing ball.
Yep, the 2 layers.
Yeah, someone. Come on. It talks about the CoCo 4 in there.
And then new games. Bomb Threat, Forest of Doom, Pop Star, Rockstar Pilot. Yeah.
An ad right from the author.
Yeah.
screenshots.
Yeah, look at that. Forest of Doom.
Ooh.
Ooh. And then here's an original retro ad. Yeah.
And
Can
another
software.
one. That's usually on the back page.
Yeah.
Of the old CoCo.
Heat up your CoCo with
That's
the hard
it.
drive, huh? J&M, huh?
I made it through.
Yeah. Good job, Ron.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. So that was circulated on the Facebook group. It's probably still out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So stop sharing now if you can.
Yeah. Let me give you back.
Okay. You're gonna return control. Do not attempt to adjust your set. We control the horizontal.
Okay,
we
stop
control the vertical. All
Got
right,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, that was
Yay.
Ron. That was the magazine stylings of Ron Delvaux. Everybody, yay! Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Ronnie.
Yep.
Robert Sieg, is it? Sieg or Seg? How do you pronounce your last name, Robert?
Yep. Sieg.
Sieg and Mark Bosley, thanks for joining us. New lineups. Thank you, Ben Drakes, for being here. Brian Weasler, Nick Marentes, and Steve Bjork, and James Diffendeff for Ron Delvaux, Mark Overholzer. We're going to play the new and improved CoCoTALK outro and give you guys a minute to think about any parting thoughts, and we'll come back for final words after this new and improved outro. Stay tuned, boys and girls. Here, let me share my audio so you guys can just hear what an amazing job I did with this today. But there's a little bit of extra something at the end of this on the outro, so stay tuned for a little something extra here. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our site at CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTALK would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, Grant Leedy, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reichert, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Karen Anscombe, Simon Jonason, and many, many more. Special thanks to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and to Brian Joyce, Ken Reichert, and Rob Inman for all of their bonus content and contributions, as well as Roger Taylor for getting us on the CoCo TV channel on Roku. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its contributors. The CoCo Crew podcast at CoCoCrew.org. Glenside Color Computer Club, host of CoCo Fest at GlensideCCC.com. Jim Brain and Retro Innovations at Go4Retro.com. Tandy Assembly at TandyAssembly.com. Boyson Technologies at BoysonTech.com. Get your own switcheroo and wallaby cable at cocoman.biz. Cloud9 Technologies at cloud9tech.com. CoCoTALK is hosted by Steve Strobridge. Co-hosts, technical directors, segment hosts, and producers Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Grant Leedy, Mark Overholzer, Ron Delvaux, and Jason Reichert. The CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore.
How does it feel? I'm still believing. How does it feel?
Ooh, how does it feel? Have a
It's
little
pretty darn good.
CoCo Forever, a little bonus there at the tail end of the outro there. Not bad.
I have it. It's great.
All right. Good. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. You're too kind. And thank you. Great show. Don't forget the CoCo Crew Roundtable tonight at 8 p.m., which is just a little over 2 hours and 15 minutes away from now. So either join it live or watch it live. Be there or be square, and then you'll have to listen to it later on at the end of the month. But thank you, CoCo Crew, for providing a forum for community members to do whatever it is they're going to do tonight. So Tim Franklin says, good night, all. And yes, and I did. Mark Overholzer, did you post a link to Discord? Because it looks like Chris is trying to get on Discord. I'm not sure what's going on. If you join the Discord server, you should show up in our little welcome room the minute you join. But yeah, so you posted a link for him to join Discord?
Yeah, I just made a temporary one.
I think if you read the descriptions of the video, it's in the second paragraph, the link to it's a permanent link to our Discord server. So check it out. All right, last parting thoughts. Anyone?
What are we talking about?
I'm not sure.
I ordered some of the T-shirts and the mugs here earlier around the Black Friday, and I have to say that the T-shirt, the quality is very good.
Are you wearing it?
Yes, I am.
Well, let's see it.
Let's see it.
I got that one there.
Oh, look at that. I'm a coconut.
And for later, we got the one of the newer ones here. The
CoCoTALK After Dark. Look at that. Looking good.
So yeah, but it's a good quality T-shirt.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Excellent. That
one thing I'll throw in is next Friday is going to be the Christmas release of Nitrous 9 Beta 3. So any of you guys are into that kind of thing, please give us some feedback afterwards. I'll be ignoring it for the week after because I'll be on holidays, but get a lot of feedback from you guys on it.
All right. Well, I'm going to press the button, but I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to apologize to everybody who watched the show. I know it wasn't as good as Grant's show, but at least we had Ben Drakes to start us off strong. Next week, hopefully, Grant will return, and I can retire because that was a great show. But that's our problem now, right? Our shows are so good that we are now trying to keep up with ourselves.
Well,
so,
we may have Dale Puckett next week.
Excellent. But thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. Check out the CoCo Crew Roundtable. The replay for this will be available in an hour or two. If you missed part of it, you can watch it again on YouTube. And come Monday morning, you'll be able to listen to this as a podcast, as an audio and or video podcast. So you'll have plenty of methods to catch up with the program. So I'm going to press the button in a couple seconds. Final thoughts. Everybody good? Anybody else need to say anything?
Can you hear me?
Till next week.
Yep. Who just said, can you hear me?
James.
Okay, it is James.
Yeah.
Hey, I turned over all my code to William Astle, so any of the speed ups I did to the MC10, he should be able to add to the CoCo ROMs.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think he's already started. He's actually carving out some room. He's going to be merging the different basics together because right now there's separate hooks to link color basic to extended basic to disk basic, and he's going to actually pull out all the interlocking glue and make it one big ROM so he can.
He's already done a lot of that, and he's already put in some of the type of changes that I made into it. So he's got stuff well in hand.
Yep, so it's well in progress.
All right, very cool. It's in good hands too. If it's in William Astle's hands, because he's got some very capable hands when it comes to coding things. Very, very cool. All right, so once again, don't forget the CoCo Crew Roundtable discussion tonight in just a little over 2 hours, and perhaps maybe an After Dark after that. You just never know. I'd have to run out and get some beer. But yes, thank you all. Thank you. You're too kind, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
So long.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.